Yo, YouTube, what's up with your boy? Sports and Fitness Rants. I'm back, guys. Click that like button. Subscribe to my channel. What's up, y'all? Welcome back. And welcome to another live edition. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. You know the deal. Friday Night Rants. Everybody come on in. You guys know the deal on this channel. You know what it's about. Stopping the lies, stopping the narratives, man. Setting the record straight. That's what it is about. You guys understand that. Once again, man, I want to thank you guys, everyone across the world, everyone across the states that continues to support my channel. You know I am truly, truly humbled by all support, man. Shout out to everybody in the membership, anyone that's donated to my channel. Like I said, man, you guys come through with the emails, the messages, the comments, all that stuff. It means a lot. So thank you very much to everyone that continues to support me. You guys know the deal, man. Real recognize real. And you guys know what to do. Turn the volume all the way up. Hit that play button. Remember these lives, the videos, everything is for educational purposes. And let's roll. So yes, guys, once again, man, thank you very much to all of you that continue to come through. Shout out to everybody out there. Ivan 1294, what up, man? You guys know that. Shout out to Renee coming through as always. Laney Music, what up? Deal with it. 28, let's roll. You know the deal. Chris Garcia, what up? 20K, my man 20K, what's going on? Salute, shout out to all you guys. Giannis stayed true. Yeah, we're going to talk about some of these trades that have gone down. Some of the things that's going on right now. Like I said, I got some things I want to rant about. You guys know that. Jolly Joshums, what up? You know the deal. Michael Gill, Bernard Kemp, what's going on with y'all, man? Thank you guys for always coming through, man. Like I said, it means a lot for you guys to continue to come through and support me. The lowly one, what up? Heath Overledger, 80s baby 73. You guys know the deal. Louisiana, shout out to everybody out there in Louisiana. Much respect. I remember one year I tried to go down to the Mardi Gras, and I I ended up not being able to go. My wife wouldn't let me go. We weren't married at the time, but I was trying to go down to Mardi Gras. But I tried to lie and tell my wife that I was going down to a bike show down in Louisiana. And my wife wasn't stupid, and she realized that Mardi Gras was going on that same weekend that I said I was going down for a bike rally, and she wouldn't let me go down there. Once again, shout out to all you guys out there, Louisiana. John Freeman, shout out to you. Chase 1738, Somos Banditos, what up? Thank you very much. David Young Senior, Bandhead, old school NBA fan. Shout out to all you guys, man. Like I said, man, it means a lot. You guys continue to come through and support, man, for real. So shout out to everybody out there. Like I said, guys, it really means a lot. You know, real recognize real, man, for real. Yo, Wings of Dog-ish, what up, man? These guys say crazy names. Yo, shout out to you. Joe, yo, we go. Hold on. We gonna talk about the Jokic fans a little bit on this live, and some of the things that, like I said, that they had been saying to me, which has been pretty crazy. Devion, what up? Thank you very much for coming through. Yo, shout out to you, Wen Karkov, what up? 5981. Thank you for coming through. Much love. Let's roll. So yes, guys, like I said, man, shout out to everybody that comes through. Like I said, man, some things I want to talk about in this live Friday night rant. I hope everybody had a great week. I hope you guys are having a good Friday night or Friday, whatever time it is, wherever you guys are from. And there's some things that I want to talk about. Some things I'm going to rant about. A couple of things that I talked about in some of these recent videos that I wanted to mention. I want to talk about some of the trades that have happened. Yo, that means a lot, for real. Shout out to my man Devian, listen to my videos every morning. Yo, for real, like I said, guys, man, it truly is humbling for you guys to come through. And like I said, the things you guys say to me, like I said, it means a lot that you guys appreciate my video. I tell you guys, man, you guys make me want to keep coming back. You know, like I said, sometimes, I might not feel like I'm up to do a video or this or that, but I know you guys are dependent on me. I know you guys are counting on me sometimes out there. So I always try to put my best foot forward. I always try to give you guys, some good stuff so you guys can go, into your day and get rolling. You guys know, I talk about a lot of fitness and health on my channel also. Now, those videos are not as popular on my channel. I'm not a big, fitness and health person. I'm not one of the big, fitness and health channels. I'm not a big channel, period. But one of the things I talked about in one of the videos I recently did on my fitness and health side of things was I was talking about daring to be different, right? And I've talked about this before. And when I heard that, someone telling people to be dared to be different, it was in reference to drugs, right? And saying no to drugs, right? And it was like one of those things where it was like, peer pressure and stuff like that, right? And dare to be different. Don't do what everybody else is doing just because they're doing it, right? So along those similar kinds of lines, dare to be different as far as your health and your fitness is concerned. Like I said, especially in this country of America, right? I tell you guys, I can only speak for America as far as, what we're looking like and, how we are in this country. And we're all jacked up. I told you, people don't have any energy. They don't feel good. They don't have confidence in themselves, right? Everyone's using, something for an excuse, right? Everyone's looking for a shortcut now to lose weight or to feel better about themselves. They're searching in a pill for pills or some powders, right? Whatever the case may be, they're looking for energy in a can. So, when I'm talking about daring to be different, when we talk about health and fitness, making a smart nutritional choice is different than what most people are doing. So dare to be different that way. When I tell you guys about fighting against the laziness, right? You have to be different that way. So I told you, that's how you inspire and motivate the people around you. I told the story recently on that side of my channel about how I used to ride my bicycle to work. Once again, shout out to all you guys, man. Like I said, man, it means a lot. Chris Garcia, thank you very much. Son of a Black Queen, shout out to you for coming through. And I was talking about how I used to ride my bicycle to work. And I told you it wasn't anything crazy. It was like a 3-4 mile bike ride, but I enjoyed it. And I was doing it because I wanted to do it. And I told you how people at my job, they're so lazy. People are so lazy in their minds and their physical activity that they can't imagine and think how someone else could not be lazy. So I told you, I was riding my bike to and from work for weeks. And what happened is during the course of those weeks that I was doing this, right, I did it for the entire spring and the summer. During the beginning of that time, I had people pulling over to the side of the road. My coworkers that saw me on the side riding my bicycle home, they thought, guys, this is what they thought. They thought that I was riding a bicycle to and from work because I had no car, because I was struggling financially, because I just didn't have a way to get to work. My bicycle was the only way for me to get to work. That's what these people thought. So I'm riding home from work and guys are pulling over, right, and asking me if I need a ride home. Hey, Robin, throw your bike in the car and I'll give you a ride home. And I would start laughing and having, I'm good. Like, I'm doing this because I want to. I'm doing this on purpose. I'm doing this for the physical activity of it. Like, I'm enjoying this right now. I had my headphones in. I had my workout clothes on. I was good, man, because I was living a dream. But people couldn't think in their minds that I was doing that because I wanted to do it. So they thought that I was riding the bicycle because I had no money, because I had no car, because I was struggling, right? And I've never not been struggling, but I had a vehicle at home, but I was choosing to ride my bike. So I was daring to be different in that moment, right? So these are the kinds of things, and I told you what ended up happening. All of a sudden, there was another guy that started riding his bicycle to work, and he told me that I gave him that idea. So this is what we're talking about, right? Like inspiring and motivating and giving people ideas, right? Giving them something to think about. People have inspired me. I've been motivated by many people. I've told you, I've gone to the gym before in the past and seen someone doing something, and I was like, damn, that actually looks pretty good. I'm about to try that. So they inspired me in that moment right there. So once again, guys, I'm going through the same things that you guys have gone through when we talk about fighting against the laziness. So dare to be different, man. Once again, shout out to you guys. Ant Weston, what up? I see you guys out there. You guys know the deal. I really appreciate you guys saying that you listen to my videos. Like I said, it means a lot. Like I said, I'm trying to give you guys, like, when I talk about the fitness and health kind of stuff, I'm just giving you guys what I've been doing, right? I'm no one special. Like I said, I don't have a lot of money, or I don't have a personal chef at home. I mean, I guess my wife is kind of like a personal chef, I guess. But, like I said, man, I don't have any fancy degrees like that. You know what I'm saying? I'm giving you guys examples of exercises that I do, right? I show you guys some of the circuits that I do. And then I give you guys, like, what it is. Like, people don't think about health and fitness in a broad sense, right? I told you, they normally just think about it in like a sense of like in the mirror, right? And people are just always concerned about the mirror all the time. And I get that, right? I understand that, absolutely. But there's so much more to health and fitness that can do for you in your life. So I've talked many times on my channel about the energy levels. Sometimes people feel they don't have energy. So oftentimes when people talk to me, I see people at work, people interact with me on a daily basis. Then they talk to me about energy, right? And I tell people all the time, you're not making a smart nutritional choice, perhaps. Maybe these are the kinds of things that are not giving you energy in the morning. I told you, you're sabotaging yourself in the morning. I told you, people get up almost like they're upset they woke up in the morning. I told you, that's crazy to me. Crazy to me. When you wake up in the morning and people, and listen, I get it, man. Some days are rough, man, right? It's Monday morning, right? Or it's been a long week, right? And you don't feel like going to work or go to school or whatever the case may be. Maybe you had a crap night or a bad day the day before, right? Life is hard sometimes, man. I get that stuff. But a lot of times for people, it's the consistency of how they feel in the morning. They feel like crap in the morning and they get up with no sense of urgency. Like I said, it's almost like they're upset that they're alive. It's like, damn, I woke up again. Oh, man, I was hoping I wasn't going to wake up. Like, is that the alternative? Is that what you're thinking? Like, oh, man, I woke up today. I tell you people, thousands of people do not wake up in the morning. People do not make it to the next day, right? I told you, I could drop dead doing this live stream right now, right? Nothing's promised, man. So we have to understand and get it with some gusto. Get it with some positivity. Make your damn bed in the morning. Get into a routine. Right? Feel good about getting up. Feel good about yourself. Right? And then once again, you'll inspire the people around you, man. Yo, shout out to all you guys out there, USMC. I drink some tea out here right now. Robin, would you let your daughter join the military? That's actually a great question. This is very interesting. I like when you guys ask me certain things. Listen, I tell you right now, I tell you like this. If my son or daughter wanted to join the military, I would have no problem with that. As far as it pertains to my daughter ain't built for that. she ain't built for the military. Listen, there's some people that we know in our lives, whether it's our kids or our friends or a relative or co-worker, whatever it is, and someone told you that they're thinking about joining the military or, they thought about joining the military one time. Like, some of these people, they're not going to be able to do it. They wouldn't be able to do it. Like, even some of my brothers, I laugh. Like, even my brothers know, I'm the only one in my family that was been to the military before. You know what I'm saying? So, like, when I talk to my brothers sometimes, like, we laugh. Like, they know like, they wouldn't want to deal with that. They couldn't handle that kind of stuff, man. Man, I told you guys before, I didn't think I could handle it either until I was put in that position. Like I said, where I was forced to look at myself in the mirror hard and be like, yo, dude, you ain't got no place to go. I was up against a wall and a wall. Like, there was no place to go. Like I said, what are you going to do? Just quit? And get a dishonorable discharge? You can't do that. I was stuck there. So I found out a lot about myself in the military, but I would have let my daughter or my son join if they felt like that's something they wanted to do. Because I tell you guys, with military, with stuff like that, you have to want, like, it doesn't matter to that. You have to want to do that, right? Like, that was the problem for me. I had never thought about the military. That was not something that I wanted to do, really. But it was a choice that I made because, once again, I was in a tough situation, right? I was almost in a spot where, like, I didn't know where to go, right? I was messing up, and you know what? I took it as a sign from God, man, right? I don't know if I've ever told the story about why I joined the Navy. I don't think I've ever told you guys that. I don't want to ramble on and rant too much here. I didn't even talk about anything that I wanted to talk about yet. But when I joined the military, the reason why I joined it on, once again, like I said, almost like it was like a sign from God for me to join. And I'm not super religious like that. I told you, I grew up, my dad was not religious, but my mother is, right? My mother's Italian, so she's Catholic, man. And she's always, talked about God. And, and I went to Sunday school. I had my baptism and my communion and my confirmation. I got all that stuff done. I used to go to Sunday school, all that stuff, guys. So I know the story, man. I know a lot of this stuff. So when I talk about I took it as a sign from God, it's not because I'm super religious like that. But what ended up happening for me is when I left high school, when I graduated from high school, I went to go play junior college, right? But what happened for me is that I jacked up myself because, once again, I thought I was better than I was when I was in high school. I was drinking the Kool-Aid. Everybody was patting me on my back in high school and telling me how good I was in that school. But once again, my school was a very small school, Asian, my very small school, man. So I was good in a very small school. So I was a big fish in a small pond, essentially. and all the things and the praise I was getting made me believe I was better than I was. But in reality, I wasn't getting recruited by the big-time schools like that. Not the schools that I thought I should have been recruited by. So I started making highlight films, right? I mean, all these highlight tapes my junior year, right, of all my junior year stuff from varsity football, put all of my best plays together for the whole season, making all these highlight films, right? Because I wasn't getting the letters from the schools I thought I should be getting. I was getting a lot of letters from like a lot of 1AA schools, a lot of Division III schools, Division II type schools, but I wasn't getting the letters from the big time schools that I thought I should have been getting. And I wanted to go play football at Syracuse. That was a big time school in New York, especially around the time that I was graduating in 1998 when I graduated high school. Syracuse was really legit in football. And one of the guys who had graduated some years before, right, he went to Syracuse and ended up going to the NFL. This guy named Keith Bullup, he went to my high school. So I wanted to follow in his footsteps. So anyway, long story short, I made this film. I sent my film out to all these schools. I mean, big time schools that I probably had no business even sending my film to. But I sent my film to these schools nonetheless. And I got very few responses. Some schools responded. Some schools said, we don't think that, you'll fit our program, or, I have the skills necessary, or whatever the case may be, because I came from a small school. Some people said that I wasn't big enough to play for their program. Some people just didn't respond, but a couple of schools did. But what ended up happening was, once again, I was not satisfied with the schools that were responding to me. So I procrastinated and ended up not being able to go play college football in college because of the schools that were recruiting me I didn't respect. So I told you guys, I was recruited by West Point to go play at West Point. They wanted me to go play there, but I didn't want to go to West Point. I didn't want to go to the freaking Army. So I was like, no, I turned it down. I told you it's funny because I joined the Navy anyway the next year. So I turned down going to play at West Point, right, and playing football for them because I didn't want to go there. I wanted to go to a different school, a big-time school, because I thought I was it. I thought I was somebody that I wasn't. So anyway, like I said, I ended up going playing junior college football at this place called SUNY Mooresville, right? I went to go play football there, and my plan was to transfer from there to go to Syracuse and play football at Syracuse. That was my plan. That was my dream anyway, right? I told you, my hope was to be like Emmitt Smith, to play in the NFL someday. So once again, I go to SUNY Mooresville to play junior college football, and I'm the youngest player on the team. I'm 17 years old, right? And once again, my birthday is in October, so I turned 18, late. Most of the kids on the team are 20 years old. Some of the kids on the team are 24, 25 years old. We had a couple of kids on the team that had transferred from other schools, right? So I was the baby on the team. And that's how a lot of the guys looked at me, a lot of the kids. I was the youngest kid on the team. So when I remember my first day to go try out for this team, and I was, like I said, I was like a late addition to come and I basically walk on to play on this football team there. And I remember the first day when we had the meeting and I went to the football meeting and they broke us down into positions. And I was like, what the hell? There was like 30 running backs. And I was like, what the hell? And all of us were trying out for like 4 spots, man. You know what I'm saying? So it was one of those things where like all of these guys look bigger than me. All of these dudes look more developed than me. I told you I was 17. A lot of them were 19, 20. One dude was 24 years old. So I remember sitting there around all these other kids thinking to myself, damn, when I was in high school, I was the man, right? Everything was sweet. And now here I am in a room of 30 other dudes. Like I said, and some of these dudes are 4, 5, 6 years older than me. Way more developed, way more muscular, probably faster than I am, probably stronger than I am. So what ended up happening, I ended up making the team. I didn't get cut, and I ended up becoming the number 2 running back behind a guy who transferred from Florida A&M. This dude was, once again, this guy was like 22 years old, this dude. But anyway, he was really good. Shout out to Maurice Bradford, the guy that I was behind. So anyway, long story short, man, I ended up leaving there. After the first semester, after football season, I ended up leaving. I didn't really like it. And it wasn't, I wasn't doing the right things I was supposed to be doing, right? So I got put on an academic probation, right? Because I wasn't doing good in my classes, right? Because I was being stupid. All I cared about was playing football. I didn't care about going to class like that. So I got put on academic probation. So instead of coming back for the rest of my freshman year, I went to the Navy. But before I got to the Navy, there was a little time there, about 6 months there, that I was home before I left. So I came home in December. It was like Christmas time. The first semester, it was like January when I came home. And then I ended up going to the Navy boot camp in August 30th of 1999. So, like I said, there was about a 7-month period there that I was at home lollygagging, not knowing what to do. Like, yo, what are you doing yourself? I never thought about what I would do in my life because I thought I would play in the NFL. I was delusional like that, man. That's where I was, man. I really thought I was like that. I really did. And I had skill. I told you, my brother tried it for the NFL. He tried out for he actually made it to the NFL tryouts. He was on the draft board, all this stuff. I had legit skills. But once again, man, I thought I was somebody that I wasn't, man. So anyway, I'm lollygagging, doing nothing with my life, right? And, I told you I got put on academic probation. So obviously my parents are not happy with me. Things are not good with my parents at home. And I remember my dad came up to me. And I told you my dad is real like that. And he came up to me one day. I had been home for like a month. And I know I'm rambling, guys. Forgive me, guys. Yo, shout out to Mark Book, Ghetto C the General, Mad Dog, yo, Coco Hope. Yo, forgive me, guys. I know I'm just talking silly right now. I'm just telling you guys a story here, man. And I'm just way off the topic, man. Forgive me, guys, again. I think I'm doing this a lot recently. So anyway, so my dad comes up to me one day, right? And he says to me, he's like, listen, he's like, there's only going to be one man in this house. He's like, you're 18 years old. He's like, there's only going to be one man in this house, and it's me. He's like, so you got to get up out of here. You got to do something. You can't be here. You can't stay here. That's what my dad told me at 18. He was like, you got to leave. You got to do something, dude. You got to get a full-time job. He goes, ain't going to be no other grown man in this house. I'm the only man here. As he told me. So once again, the pressure was on. And, I remember after a couple of months, right? And I'm trying to figure out something to do here. I remember it came down to a point where, like I said, things were bad at my house. They were bad, like real bad. And I remember I was staying with my girlfriend's house for a couple of days here, go sleep at my friend's house for a couple of days. Just anything I could do to stay at my parents' house, stay away from my dad, avoid my dad. And my mother one day came up to me, right? And she said, have you ever thought about going to the military? And she said specifically the Navy, my mom said. And I started laughing. And I said, the military? And I said to her, I'm like, what's the Navy? I was like, I don't even know what the Navy is. The only thing that I had known or heard about the Navy was through G.I. Joe, the cartoon. You guys remember G.I. Joe? There was a character called Shipwreck. Shipwreck. You guys remember Shipwreck? He had the sailor mouth, the attitude, right? You guys remember Shipwreck? The G.I. Joe? That's what I knew of the Navy, of that kind of stuff. Everything I had known about going to a military or wars from history class, I thought about the Army. All I knew was really the Army. I didn't even know like the Marines like that. I did not know about some of this stuff. You heard about these things in movies, but you didn't know about these entities like that. I did not know what the Navy SEALs were or really what they meant. I didn't know what it meant to serve in the military like that. So I didn't have that sense when my mom said, hey, you ever thought about the military? And I laughed at her and I asked her, I don't even know what the Navy is. I would never do that. So, true story. Once again, guys, the very next day. Now, I'm thinking about this now. Should I join the military? Is this actually a thing? Like, maybe I'll join the Army. I don't know. The next day, I go to the mailbox, right? I rarely ever got the mail at my parents' house, right? It was like one of those things where it's like, I was like banned from getting the mail because I would used to get the mail and I would hide like progress reports. I would try to hide things that would come from the school because I was in trouble or I did something, right? So I would try to hide the mail, right? And I remember my dad busted me one time and I got my ass whooped, man. So I didn't really mess with the mail after that. So I just happened to get the mail this day. I get the mail and what's in the mail? A whole damn like welcome to the Navy, almost like a brochure for the Navy. Not the Army, not the Marines, the Navy. A whole thing for the Navy. And I'm like, the hell is this? And I'm looking at this. I didn't know about the Navy like that. So I get inside and I open this up, right? My name was on it. And I'm looking through this stuff. And some of this stuff look cool as hell. You got dudes jumping out of helicopters. You got guys some of the stuff that I saw in this brochure, I was impressed with. I was like, damn, that looked cool as hell to me. It looked cool. So, once again, I'm looking at this, and I'm thinking in my mind, did my mom put in for me to get this? Like, how did this come to me with my name on it? I had never seen anything about the Navy in my household. I had never even talked about the military ever in my household like that. No one ever talked about this stuff like that. Never once. And all of a sudden, I get stuff in the mail with my name on it about the Navy. So what did I do? I contacted the recruiter. I did not tell my parents about this. I contacted the local recruiter, and I went to the recruiting office. So the funny thing is, when I go to the recruiting office, it's a building, right? And standing outside the building was a Marine, right? He was in the full Marine, right, uniform, and he was outside smoking a cigarette. So I come walking up to the building, and he's out there chilling, and he's looking at me, right? And as I go walking in, he puts his cigarette out and comes following in behind me. Now, when I come walking in, there's no one around. It was like a big hallway, and there was different offices, right? It was like the Marines over here, the Navy was over there in the back, and then there was like an Army recruiter. It was all the recruiters. I think there was even a Coast Guard one there. Different offices, and the Marine office was the first one on the left. So when I walked in, the Marine guy followed me in and started talking to me. And he goes, "Hey, how's it going?" And I was like, "Hey, what's up?" Now, I didn't know the difference. I thought he was a Navy guy. So I started talking to him thinking that this is the guy that I'm supposed to be meeting. And I'm like, "Yeah, my name is Robin and I'm here for, blah, blah, blah." And I tell him I'm there for the Navy. And he tells me, "Oh, yeah, come with me." So he is getting ready to take me into the Marine recruiting office for the Marines. And as I'm getting ready to walk in the office with this guy, the Navy guy comes out. That he hears people. He comes out. And they get into an argument. They start fighting because he's telling him, "Yo, you're trying to steal my recruits," and all this stuff, man. So anyway, I go in there. I joined the Navy, obviously, guys, right? I had to take an ASVAB test. They asked me all these funny questions, all this stuff. They showed me a video on the Navy and boot camp. I do all this stuff. I had to go through all these steps, man. I had to take a train up to Albany and take a test up in MEPS, in the MEPS station. I had to do all these tests, right? I had to do a duck walk. I had to do all this stuff, right? All these different tests to be, qualified to go into the Navy. I had to get sworn in. I had to sign away my life. I had to do all this stuff over the course of a weekend. The entire time, my parents have no clue I'm doing this stuff. They have no idea. They have no idea. They think I'm at my friend's house, right? They think I'm hanging out, right? And they have no clue I'm doing any of this. So I go through all these things. I take the test, right? And I remember when you take the ASVAB test, what ends up happening is that based off of how you score in certain areas of the test, you qualify, right, for certain jobs in the military. So I go into the office right after my test results come out, and the lady's sitting there. And I'm across, guys, this is a true story, guys. And I'm across from the recruiting, the lady who's doing the jobs. So I'm sitting there, and the machine was printing out all the jobs I was qualified for based off my score results. That was it. Nothing more, nothing less. Whatever you're qualified off of base of what you did on that test. So these things are printing out. She's reading them off to me. So she reads off electrician mate. I think was the first job that came out. Electrician's mate came out. And I was like, "What do you do there?" So she starts reading off the job description for all these jobs. "Oh, you work with electricity and you do this and that and blah, blah, blah." Then she reads off another job. It was like engineering or something like that, right? Supposedly, I guess I scored high on a lot of electrical and engineering type stuff. I don't know how, but apparently I did. Supposedly, I scored it pretty good. So anyway, the third job that comes out is called the gunner's mate. Gunner's mate is what she says, gunner's mate. And I was like, "Oh, that sounds interesting." And she starts reading off the job description, right? Small arms training. U.S. qualified other people on the ship how to shoot guns, learning how to take apart guns, put guns together, right? You're in charge of putting together security kinds. All kinds of things, right? That was really showed in or had to do with weapons. That's what a gunner's mate did. So I stopped her because she was going to go into another job. So I said, I'll do that. And she says, "Are you sure?" And this is what I said, guys. It's a true story, guys. I'm not lying about this stuff. And I'm going to stop talking after this. I'm going to stop, guys. I'm going to stop my story. I tell you, I promise. I'm going to stop the story. So she says, "Are you sure?" And I said, now remember, I said to her this. I was like, would I get a chance to shoot guns a lot? I'm like, is that what I'm supposed to be? Would I be doing? I'll be shooting guns. I was like, would I be the person that would have to try to kill people? That's why I asked her. No, remember, there is no war going on. There is no, this is 1999. This is before 9/11. So I just ask her these kind of questions, almost being kind of silly with her to see what she would say about, me possibly wanting to shoot people with guns, or being in a war scenario and be shooting people. Like, is this what I'll be doing? Like, I'm going to be the gun guy? And she started laughing and she said something like that. And I was like, I'll do that job. That sounds good, man. And she said, well, you qualified to be on a nuclear submarine. She said you scored on this certain area where you could work on submarines. And I was like, on a submarine? I was like, no, I'm good. I don't want to go on a submarine. I was like, that sounds crazy to me. You got to be under the water for like 6 months, man. You don't even see nothing. I'm not going under the water for 6 months. Weird stuff out there. So I turned that down. And my recruiter said I was crazy. He was like, when I came out the office, he was like, yo, what job did you get? And I was like, I'm a gunner's mate. He's like, oh, it's a good job. And I was like, yeah, they wanted me to work on a submarine. I was like, nah. And he said, you qualified for nukes? And I was like, yeah, submarine, she said. And he's like, and you didn't take it? I was like, no. He's like, yo, you know how much money you get for that? And I was like, no, I don't know. I said, gunner's mate sounded cool, man. He's like, oh, man. He goes, you qualified for nukes. You could have got so much money being on a submarine. I was like, nah, I'm good, though, man. I ain't doing no submarine stuff, man. So anyway, I ended up joining the Navy. Like I said, no one even knew. I came home from this whole experience. I remember when I came home and I told my mom and dad, they were sitting in the living room. I was like, oh, by the way, I'm going to boot camp next week. I told my parents on, I think it was August 23rd or 24th, that I told them I was leaving on August 30th. I was like, yo, I'm out next week. My mom started hysterical crying. My dad looked at me and was like, good. Gangster. Anyway, yo, shout out to all you guys, man. My man DGT. Shout out to my man, the real Eleazy. I just went over on a rant. I'm rambling. Goodness gracious, man. Forgive me, guys. So anyway, oh my God. Did you guys see that post that I put out with the creative Lakers, Miami Heat Cavaliers jersey? It said cheaters for LeBron James with all the teams he went through. I thought that was creative as hell. Shout out to A-Log Moreno that sent me that in an email like almost like a couple of weeks ago. I didn't even see the email to a little while ago. So shout out to A-Log Moreno, whoever you are, wherever you are. Shout out to you, because I thought that was my goodness, man. That was so creative. Insane, man. Insane. So that was a good jersey, man. Once again, with the Jordan logo on it. You guys know, amazing stuff. I wanted to talk about this Draymond Green statue thing that Steve Kerr was talking about. We have to touch on this Draymond Green getting a statue outside of Golden State, guys. This is insane, man. Insane. I mean, we've gone too far. It's gone too far now. It's gone too far. Yo, love them skins. Yo, shout out to you. Some of you guys don't get the notification. Listen, you didn't miss nothing, man. I talked for about 30 minutes now, and I just tell the story, man. So you didn't miss nothing. Forgive me, guys out there. Oh, man, I think see people have sent a super. My goodness, man. Oh, goodness gracious. Keep the drugs. Sports and fitness rants videos get me through cardio. Yo, shout out to Jolly Joshums. Yo, much respect. That really means a lot. Like I tell you guys, man, this is just who I am, guys. This is who I am. I told you, sometimes I'm up in the morning. It's 4:30 in the morning. Me and my wife in the kitchen, and we're having a normal conversation about the day. And my wife is like, babe, you are yelling right now. You are screaming. And I don't even know I'm yelling. I'm just talking. And she's like, babe, you're going to wake the kids up. She does it almost every morning to me. It's like an ongoing joke with me and her. It's hilarious. So, when you guys see me how I am and I'm hyped up like that, this is who I am. Like, when people say that I'm on cocaine or, I'm taking all this caffeine or I'm on all these kinds of, meth or whatever people accuse me of taking on here, they're only saying that because I told you, they can't imagine where I can get energy like this from or how someone can be the way that I am. They think it has to be some kind of chemical or some kind of substance or something, right? It can't just be me because of this is who I am, but also because of the way that I've been my entire life. I've told you guys, I don't look like this or feel like this by accident. I've been into health and fitness my entire life. My entire life, I've been playing sports my entire life. I've not stopped. I haven't stopped. That's why I tell you guys, you don't have to stop. You don't have to stop playing sports when you get older. You don't have to. You never got to stop, guys. You don't. Don't think you have to. You don't got to go to a gym. You don't got to go do no stupid workout. You don't have to do lift a damn weight a day in your life. I've never seen my mother do a workout. I've never seen my dad do a workout. I ain't never seen my dad do a push-up, a pull-up, none of this stuff. But them, my parents, they're the complete opposite of lazy. The antithesis of laziness. I mean, my dad's got more energy than me, and he's 76, man. My mom is the toughest person that I know. I mean, tough as nails, that woman. Tough as nails. I mean, so when we talk about what they can do, what they've been doing, what they've showed me and my brothers, this is what I'm telling you and showing you. This is what I've showed my wife. This is what I've showed my kids. And this is why I am the way I am. Once again, you know the deal out here, man. Shout out to my man, Jack Joshams. Draymond Green get a damn statue. Get no damn statue. I'll get a statue before Draymond Green. Are you kidding me? Once again, shout out to David Young Sr., member for 9 months. Someone needed to advise you. Pull your coattail. The mission is the free ride, the experience, then the degree. Pass it to the kids. You coach. That's right. That's right. That's right. I told you, man, my dad wasn't playing no games with me. Playing no damn games. Y'all think I'd be lying about this stuff? Nah, man. My dad was real. My dad's the realest dude I know. I tell you, he's the best man that I freaking know, man. That dude's the realest dude I know. Man, my dad will whoop my ass, man. Right? I'm 45 years old. My dad scared the hell out of me, man. And you know what it is? It's a fear of respect, man. Fear of respect. I told you. And that dude was legit. I told you, man. I'm nowhere where I am today without my parents, man, and the guidance. And like I said, them putting the foot in the ass when it had to be. What I always tell you guys, I earned the ass whoopings. We earned those ass whoopings. I'm thankful to get them. Thank you very much for whooping my ass because I need to get my ass whooped because I wasn't doing a damn thing. A damn thing. And when I went to boot camp, they whooped my ass some more because I was still running my mouth in boot camp. I don't know who I thought I was. I don't know who I thought I was. I thought I was somebody, but I wasn't that dude. And when I got to boot camp, I found out real quick. Dude, you in for a rude away. I told you, man, that first night, I was terrified. I was like, yo, I made a mistake. I told you guys, the first night, I was like, yo, I messed up. I ain't gonna make it 4 years. There's no way I'm making it 4 years. That was the first night. They were screaming at us. They were in our face. Y'all remember one dude, we came off the bus, right? And we lined up against the wall, dude. And look, they were gonna shoot us. It was like a firing squad. Yo, they lined up all of us against the wall. And we all had our bags, everything that you brought with you. I ain't bring nothing. I knew better. They was like, yo, you can only bring certain things, right? You were only allowed to bring certain items. I ain't bring nothing but myself, man. Nothing. So when we got up there, they lined everybody against the wall. Everyone's bags, whatever personal items they brought with them, they emptied it all out on the ground. They was dumping everybody's bags out like this. Psh, throwing everybody's stuff out right in front of you. Yo, this dude had a bunch of porno magazines up in there. This dude thought he was going to bring porno magazines up into the damn boot camp. Yo, when they saw those things, yo, they lost on that dude. They lost on that kid. I don't know what happened to that kid. They took him off somewhere. I never saw him again. Shout out to that kid. I don't know what happened to him, man. We ain't never seen him again. They took him somewhere to some other room. Yo, they were screaming at us, man, for no reason. I tell you, it was crazy, guys. Crazy out there. Once again, man. But these are experiences, and these are things I've told you that have made me who I am today. I told you, the military opened my eyes, and like I told made me have to look at myself hard. And once again, I had to come to the reality here. Once again, I had to put up a shut up. There's no talk in the military. There's no talk in boot camp. No one wants to hear what you got to say. You got to go out there and do your stuff. Shut your mouth and do it. Be quiet. I learned to be the hell quiet because I was talking too damn much. I was always running my damn mouth. And oh, man, you a loudmouth New York guy. As they were telling me, oh, you a loudmouth New York guy. You a loudmouth New York guy. So anyway, Draymond Green, a statue, guys. Yo, come on, man. What are we doing here? What are we doing? What are we doing? You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, it's insane. Insane. I don't. If we give Draymond Green a statue, because Steve Kerr is saying that he deserves. See, that was the thing that really bothered me. He said, and he used the word deserve. He deserves one. Draymond Green is the opposite of a player that would deserve a statue. The complete opposite. He deserves a statue, Steve Kerr. This is what we're doing now. So, like I said, how am I supposed to, like Steve Kerr, you lose all cachet. Like, this is what I'm talking about with these guys. I lose all respect for you. I'm supposed to respect Steve Kerr when he says that Draymond Green deserves a statue? Deserves a statue. Come on, Steve Kerr. Draymond Green does not deserve a statue. He has not earned a statue. He's not statue worthy. He's Draymond freaking Green, man. See, this is what we're doing now. We're overhyping all of these players now. Overhyping. So Draymond Green deserves a statue more than all these other players out here in the NBA. Because I told you, if you give Draymond Green a statue, you guys are getting everybody a goddamn statue. I told you, I got to get a statue first. I don't get this stuff, man. It makes no sense. Everyone's getting a statue. The fans out there in Golden State should get a statue before Draymond Green. But the head coach saying he deserves a statue. For what? Kicking guys in the crotchal region? For choking guys from behind? For being a dirtbag? For being a good defensive player in one of the weakest, or if not the weakest defensive era in NBA's history? So he's Draymond Green, man, the great defensive player. I keep telling you guys, my problem is in the promotion of these guys. In the promotion. Because they can't just be real and say, hey, Draymond Green's a really good defensive player for his era. Really good defensive player in his era. And that's not an insult. But you just say, for this era. And why would we say that? Because in this era of quote-unquote positionless basketball, this is where someone like Draymond Green, undersized, under-athletic, he can thrive in this kind of stuff, right? Positionless basketball. But I'll tell you, Draymond Green's versatility on defense is what makes him so great. So I talked about this in the video before. Do you guys think that Draymond Green could guard legit centers from the other eras? We're talking about legit centers. He can't guard them. None of them. Not even the bottom guys. He can't guard any of the centers in these other eras. He cannot guard them. I told you, not even the bottom guys. He's not guarding them. So let's not even just think about the big men. Do you think that Draymond Green is guarding the point guards? The point guards of these other eras? He's going to run around all game with point guards? No, he's not. No, he's not. He's not versatile to that degree. He's not versatile like that. Because in this era, you never have to guard anybody essentially for an extended period of time. All you're doing is switching and handing them off to the next guy. This era defense is mostly about rotations and playing help defense. That's really where you are today, because there really are no guys locking you down one-on-one, because everyone's doing pick and rolls. Everyone's switching everything. No one fights through screens. Guys are setting illegal screens. You guys can't be physical on defense. Guys are flopping all over the place. So what are you getting out here on the basketball court? You get a bunch of nonsense out here. Also, when teams are taking 30, 40, 50 threes in a game, what kind of defense is being played when every time you turn around, the guy's chucking a shot up? Just chucking shots up. Defenses aren't set. Guys aren't on the rim to get rebounds. Your teammates aren't even across half court yet, and we're chucking up threes. You have 18, 19 seconds left on the shot clock, chucking up shots. But Draymond Green is a versatile defensive player. Once again, in this era, he might be versatile. In the other eras, he's not versatile to that degree. Like, he's not guarding these other positions. I told you, in the 90s, I don't even know where Draymond Green fits in. I don't know where he fits in, guys. I don't know. He's not a point guard, a shooting guard, a small forward. He would have to play small forward. He's going to play small forward? Come on, man. He's not a power forward. He's going to battle down low with Otis Thorpe or Buck Williams or Jerome Kersey. He's going to battle down low with Charles Oakley or Anthony Mason all night long. Kevin McHale? I told you, Kevin McHale said that Draymond Green couldn't grow enough to guard him. He couldn't grow enough. I told you, he's undersized. He's outmatched, under-athletic. He's not even a great athlete at that size. He's a terrible athlete, right? He don't have the size. He don't have the skills. Where's the skills from Draymond Green? Oh, Draymond Green's a playmaker. Once again, yes, in this era, Draymond Green's a playmaker. What does that say about this era? Don't really say much, does it? And once again, let's understand the truth here. Draymond Green is a product of playing with Steph Curry. Steve Kerr is a product of having Steph Curry. Let's keep that the facts. You guys know that. That's right. No one wanted John Morant because John Morant's a clown. Straight clown. I've been telling you John Morant's a clown, and that proved it right there. Nobody wanted that fool. Yo, shout out to the real Donald Trump for coming through with the super. Like I said, guys, it means a lot. Sports and Fitness Rants has better pillows than LeBron. That's right. That's right, guys. Remember the pillows. I told you, LeBron James needs one of those pillows that Arnold Schwarzenegger gave my man the plane, right? When he broke his neck, right? My man was knocked down the plane. He put the hat over his eyes. He put the pillow up against the back of the head. That's what LeBron James needs. He said, don't wake my friend, right? He's dead tired. You guys remember that scene? Remember the lady in the seat in front when I posted a picture? That's why I posted a picture the way I did, so you can see him propping his head up on the pillow, but you can get a good visual of the woman in the seat in front. Man, she looked so comfortable with that pillow, that lady. Shout out to her. But like I said, man, she was knocked out in the plane. That pillow looked real comfortable. But LeBron James over there crying about pillows in a 5-star hotel. Like, dude, you ain't staying at the Motel 6. Like, I mean, like, these guys are laughable to me. Like I told you, LeBron James is complaining about pillows in places that we can't even afford to stay in. I can't even afford to sleep on them pillows that you're complaining about. It's laughable. I've had the same pillow for like 15 years, man. This thing is beat the hell. I probably need a new pillow. It's probably not even good for my neck, the pillow that I use. It probably isn't. But it's just part of my routine. It's my pillow, man. And I've had it for a mad long time. Ain't no excuse. If I wake up with a messed up kink in my neck or something, I gotta work it out, man. I gotta work it out. You know what I'm saying? Can't be crying about stuff all the damn time. Shout out to the real Don Trump. Praise the Don. Shout out to you for coming through with the super. Have you seen the video titled "The Cavaliers Gave LeBron Everything"? I think I've heard of the video. I don't know if I saw it, if I watched it, though. It exposes the lies about LeBron's first stint with the Cavs. Listen, there's another narrative, guys, that the Cavaliers ownership and management didn't do anything for LeBron James in that first stint. That's a lie. It's a lie. Like my man Praise the Don is saying, it exposes the lie. It's a lie, guys. The organization, I mean, guys, remember we talked about the players that were on and off the roster that first stint in Cleveland, guys. I want you guys to think about something. Go from the first year LeBron James got to Cleveland and go through those rosters from 2004 to 2010. If you go through those rosters, it's a who's who of players. No, it's not the greatest players in the league, but why isn't he the greatest player in the league? Right? Remember, LeBron James is hyped and celebrated and promoted from the day one as the chosen one, not as a guy that needs time to develop. They're telling us, and they've been telling us, that LeBron James has been ready to play in the NBA since he was like 16, right? He's been ready all this time. Oh, excuse me, guys. He's been ready all this time. So I don't want to know for LeBron James. So when you think about LeBron James getting there in 2004, and you think about all the players that were on the roster all of those years, guys, they brought all kinds of guys. They brought guys in because what were they doing? They were trying to build a roster around LeBron James. And what did you get from the Cleveland Cavaliers organization? They built a roster around LeBron James, so much so that they made it to the NBA Finals in 2007. And the LeBron James fans celebrate that as saying that he carried bums when the Cleveland Cavaliers organization put pieces around him, put guys that did the things that he needed them to do for them to get where they needed to go. And in the finals in 2007, those same teammates stepped up. Remember, LeBron James and the Cavaliers did not lose in the NBA Finals in 2007 just because the Spurs were a quote-unquote better team than them. That's not what it was just about. It was about the lack of competitiveness from the Cavaliers because of LeBron James. Remember, those games were close. Those games, some of them were winnable games. If not all of them were winnable games. But why didn't they win any of the games, let alone 4? Because LeBron James played terrible. He didn't play good, right, or okay. He played terrible, guys. Terrible. He averaged 22 points a game in that finals when he averaged 27, I believe, in the regular season. So We're talking about your numbers dropping drastically. This is LeBron James in those finals. But not only did you average less points than the regular season, you did it on like 35% shooting. That's horrendous. Horrendous. Right? Also, we talk about the amount of turnovers for LeBron James in those finals. I told you guys, he had more turnovers himself than his entire bum roster had combined. Combined. All of them did not have as many turnovers as one LeBron James. But the ownership didn't do nothing for you. There were guys there. No, they weren't the big name dudes. They're all NBA guys. Once again, why do you always need all NBA guys? You had guys on the team that did role, that served a purpose, that had a role and played that role. But they make excuse for LeBron James. So shout out to Praise of Don. That's true. Always an excuse, man. Always a narrative. Always a narrative, man. It's crazy. That's right. Shout out to the Overledger. That's right. Import Al. That's right. Bruce Bowen was clamping him up. And Bruce Bowen was 35. Remember, they tell you that Michael Jordan only beat the Pistons when they were old. Dennis Rodman was a back-to-back Defensive Player of the Year award winner that year. Joe Dumars was at his peak in 91. This is prime Joe Dumars, man, playing Michael Jordan out there. Dennis Rodman, prime Dennis Rodman, out there on the basketball court in that series, guys. So, when we talk about Bruce Bowen was 35. You think that 35-year-old Bruce Bowen is going to be locking up Michael Jordan at whatever age you want to call Michael Jordan or put Michael Jordan at? Come on, man, stop that. Like I said, Bruce Bowen was a very good defensive player. But you guys remember, Bruce Bowen couldn't even make the league in the 90s. Couldn't make the league in the 90s. No knock on Bruce Bowen. Like I said, he's an excellent defensive player. But once again, he was 35. So we won't use Bruce Bowen's age. But Dennis Rodman, who was 29 in 1991, is old. But then in 96, he made them a super team. So he was old in 91. 5 years later, makes the Bulls a super team, Dennis Rodman. Weird stuff out here, man. That don't make no sense. I want you guys to go look at the age of the Orlando Magic and look at the age of the Chicago Bulls in 1996, guys. Look at the age of them players. And you tell me that the Bulls weren't old compared to the Orlando Magic? And the Orlando Magic were a 60-win team. What's the excuse for the Bulls in that series? They were older than the Magic. They were older than the Pistons were when they beat them, when the Bulls beat them in the Eastern Conference Finals. Right? So what are we doing here? Doesn't add up. Never adds up. That's LeBron James fans. That's the facts. Once again, shout out to all you guys that come through. Shout out to the real Donald Trump coming through again. 2026. Just talking about Dennis Rodman. Dennis Rodman is dropping 40 on Donkey. You guys, shout out to the real Donald Trump. When we talk about a comment like this, right? And we make a joke and we're laughing and we're like, oh, he'll drop 40 on Draymond Green. Like, we're making a joke, we're laughing, but at the same time, guys, like, these are the facts here. There's the truth, all right? When Draymond Green talks the way that he talks, it's why. Why does he feel like he could talk that way? When Steve Kerr says something about Draymond Green deserving a statue, this is all laughable stuff, guys. All right, laughable stuff. But the facts remain. When Draymond Green talks the way he does to someone like Charles Barkley, the facts, guys, is that if Draymond Green played in the 90s against Charles Barkley, and he's a power forward, and he had to go against Charles Barkley, guys, I mean, come on. This is not a knock on Draymond Green, man. Like, I do mean all due disrespect to him. Obviously, you guys know how I feel. I have no respect for him. But I'm not trying to just tear him down and just be like, oh, it's the facts. That's the truth. He can't do nothing with them dudes. Nothing with those guys. So Draymond Green in this era thinks he's a superstar, the greatest defensive player of all time. Steve Kerr thinks he deserves a statue. But if he played in the 90s, he wouldn't even be a footnote. He wouldn't even make a team. He wouldn't even be on the floor. That's the reality. And if Steve Kerr wants to argue anything differently, he's a freaking liar, man. He's a damn liar. A goddamn liar is what he would be. And he once again would not be keeping in tune with the reality and the facts of the reality of the matter. He's not locking up any of these guys. He's going to have a hard time. A bad night going against Charles Barkley, guys. A really bad night. Especially Charles Barkley, like I said, when he first came in the league from like 86 to 93. What? Especially those first like 4 games when Charles Barkley was flying through the air like a maniac. Come on, man. Draymond Green, he'd leave Draymond Green in the freaking dust, man. Are you kidding me? Draymond Green couldn't keep with Charles Barkley. People forget that Charles Barkley was a freak athlete, man. That dude was a crazy athlete. He was like Zion Williamson. Like maybe he wasn't doing the flashy dunks like Zion Williamson, but Charles Barkley was getting up, man. He was getting up, and I'm telling you, he was jamming on dudes, man. All cats. And he wasn't soft like Zion Williamson. But that man, the round mound, yo, Draymond, yo, he'll put Draymond Green in the basket. In the basket, y'all. I'm telling you right now. In the basket. Barkley was out there battling, man. But I tell you what them do, he was battling with the Oakleys. He was battling with all them cats, man. Like, I don't get this stuff. Hell out of here, man, Draymond Green. So anyway, guys, that was one thing I thought was hilarious. I know some of you guys had mentioned in the comments, you guys wanted me to talk about some of the trades. We had mentioned James Harden going to the Cleveland Cavaliers. I saw some of you guys mentioning something about LeBron James trying to form another super team in Cleveland, possibly, right? I think I saw my man on Common Sense mention something about that. A video he had done. And I thought I had seen something about that also, that LeBron James might be trying to, or Donovan Mitchell and James Harden might be trying to recruit LeBron James to the Cavaliers. Remember, guys, let's say that happened, and LeBron James got Draymond Green. And LeBron James got James Harden, Donovan Mitchell. All three of them end up on the Cleveland Cavaliers. Let's say next season. Next year, they're all in the Cavaliers. LeBron James 42 years old in year 24. Does anyone believe, like we don't know what's going to happen this season, but does anyone believe that happens next year, right? Like I said, big what if, we don't even know, whatever. Hypothetical stuff here. But do you believe that if they all play on the same team, are you worried? Are you scared of that team? Are you really worried about that team? But let's say they won. Let's just say that next year, Harden, Donovan Mitchell, LeBron James form up on the Cleveland Cavaliers. They're able to keep all the other pieces on the team that they have now, and the Cleveland Cavaliers win the championship next year. Let's say they win it. Are you impressed? Are you impressed? Does that make you impressed? Does that add to LeBron James' legacy? Does that make James Harden? Do you look at James Harden? You're like, yo, James Harden finally got it, man. No, Donovan Mitchell, we looking at you weird now, right? All this stuff. I've even heard they're trying to get Giannis to the team. Like you're trying to form a team with all three of them dudes and Giannis. So let's say they did that now. Giannis goes to the team. You got LeBron James, Giannis, James Harden, Donovan Mitchell on the Cavaliers next year. They win the championship. They win 69 games, right? One of the greatest teams of all time. They're pumping them up for the regular season. They win the championship. Are you impressed, guys? No, it's impressed, man. Like I said, that would make Giannis look bad. That would make Donovan Mitchell look bad. James Harden already look bad. You can't make James Harden look bad. James Harden make himself look bad. James Harden is one of the goofiest, one of the dumbest superstars in the history of sports. That man is dumb. All right? Let's be real here. James Harden is not a real one. He is not a competitor, James Harden. That man, listen, that man's been about the money and the fame his entire career. Now he's talking about, yeah, I want to get a ring. Dude, we way past that. We way past that. Get a ring? Dude, you should have been stayed in OKC if you wanted a ring. If being a competitor, winning meant something to you guys, building a legacy, building a dynasty, the money would have came. These guys chase money like it ain't going to come. You're going to get your money. My goodness, these guys are clowns. I want you guys to think about something. Money comes with success. Money comes with success, right? So if Harden, Westbrook, Durant stay in OKC, it's a big what if. We're talking hypotheticals here, I know. But the mindset of James Harden, these guys, you're telling me the OKC Thunder stay together, they win a championship, a couple of championships, right? Because all these guys develop, they feed off each other, they push each other, right? They lift up each other and they become a big three. And they become, damn, we didn't know they were going to be like this. And they turn into that. You think that they're not going to make money? If you guys were a dynasty in OKC, they won multiple championships, all of a sudden the endorsements come. Everyone comes calling. You're making movies, commercials, everything. Because you guys are winners. Winning breeds money. Winning brings money. That's what it does. Success, all of that goes hand in hand. So you would have gotten your money off the court. Off the court. Maybe you ain't going to sign the big contract from the team, but you're sacrificing that to win. So you sacrifice some money on the court, paycheck, but you get the respect. You get the respect. You're a champion. But now you're the biggest choker of your era, James Harden. You're not a champion. No one respects you. I mean, my goodness here. This is what James Harden gave up for the money and the fame. Now you want to talk about chasing a ring or getting a ring. Dude, stop. Miss me with that. You missed me. Nope. Nonsense. Hell no. So, we got this fool, James Harden, talking about joining up teams or I want to win a ring. And then you have the LeBron James fans always crying and moaning about the organizations not doing anything for him. And then the freaking Golden State Warriors tell Steph Curry to kiss their ass by bringing in Kristaps Porzingis. They brought in Kristaps. I tell you, you want to talk about an ownership not giving a damn about your superstar? You want to talk about an ownership being inept? You want to Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors, man, they gave this man Draymond Green. I don't give a damn how effective or how much Draymond Green's helped them win. He's had to deal with Draymond Green's entire goddamn career. He's had to deal with, and they brought the man Andrew Wiggins, Jimmy Butler, and Al Horford. You brought him Al Horford, and now you're bringing Kristaps freaking Porzingis. Get the man some real help. What is Porzingis doing? What is he doing? Nothing. Nothing, man. Nothing. He's doing nothing. Yo, shout out to my man Armando Ruiz, man. My bad. Coming through with the super. Imagine Green trying his antics on Charles Oakley. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen, guys. It's not going to happen. Shout out to my man Armando Ruiz, man. Always coming through. Thank you very much. You know that's a laugh. I mean, come on, man. They brought this man's Kristaps freaking Porzingis. Come on, man. God damn, man. I told you, I tagged AOH when I saw that. I couldn't believe it. God, I wrote this down. I wrote this down. All right? God damn. The Kristaps Porzingis, man. Listen, Kristaps Porzingis played for the Knicks. When he came to the league, remember, he was called the unicorn. He was like 7'2", 7'3". He was like a Wembanyama before Wembanyama, right? He could dribble, he could shoot, he could play defense, he was blocking shots, right? This when he came to the Knicks, right? And then never, transpired. He had the problems, right? The off the court stuff and the things in there, and we know blah, 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 blah. So he ended up leaving the New York Knicks, but he's like that Jerry curl that never turns over. That's what Porzingis is. He's like that guy that all his potential, and it never came. It just never. Guys, I want you guys to understand something here. Kristaps Porzingis in 2024, it's the last 3 seasons, guys, last 3 years. 2024, he played 57 games. 57 games, guys. Right? 57 games. Remember, in the playoffs, that was the year that he's a champion. Porzingis is a champion. He's a damn champion. Once again, this is no disrespect to his all-court game. This is about this man not being on the court. What all-court game you have if you ain't on the court? You don't have a game. There is no game. Your game is on the bench. Your game is sitting down. Your game is missing games. That's your game. So that's my problem with it. You give Steph Curry, who's damn near 40, Kristaps Porzingis, But the LeBron James fans are crying that LeBron James got Luka Doncic, that they needed an upgrade from Gabe freaking Vincent. What does Steph Curry have that's so great? What does he have? What does he got? He got Draymond Green punching guys like Jordan Poole in the face. Draymond Green kicking guys in the balls. Draymond Green choking guys. Draymond Green sitting out whenever he's out. So Steph Curry can't even be out a game and just chill. Nope. He got to deal with Draymond Green sitting next to him on the game, like on the bench. Like goddamn, man. Can I just be out of game without you being right there next to him at the damn time? And you know Draymond Green breath stank. I don't give a damn, man. That man breath stank. You can look at somebody and say breath stank hot as hell. There was a guy when I was in the military. Let's get back onto the military real quick. There was a guy I knew in the military, right? When I first got to my ship, name was OS1 Jones, Operations Specialist Jones, OS1 Jones. And I remember he was like the head guy in the berthing area. The berthing is where you sleep at nighttime, right? It's where the racks are, where you shower, they have the bathrooms, all this stuff. So they're showing me where I'm going to be sleeping in this berthing area. And because the berthings were full, I wasn't sleeping with my division. I had to sleep with a different division in a different area because everything was full. So they had to put me where they could put me. So he's, introducing me to some of the guys in the area that I'm going to be sleeping in. And he lays down some of the ground rules for me. Remember, I'm a seaman when I get to the ship, right? I have no rank. I was like an E2, I think, or E3 maybe. I might have been an E2 actually when I got to this ship maybe. I can't remember, E2, E3. Anyway, he's an E6. So once again, if you understand the ranking here, outranks me by a lot. So anyway, he's giving me the ground rules of the berthing, keeping your bed clean, right? Always having your bed made, all this kind of stuff, right? Cleanliness is very big down in the berthing area because it's where you live. And it's a small area, so you can be messy and have a lot of clutter. There's no room for this stuff down there. So anyway, I remember him talking to me all this stuff, and he says to me, he goes, listen, man, there's a lot of things that people might say about me. He goes, but the one thing that they're not going to say about me is that my breath stink. That's what he told me. That was his worldly, godly advice to me. The one thing they're not going to say about, he goes, the one thing they're not going to say about OS1 Jones is that his breath stinks. That's what he said to me. And I tell you right now, guys, I remember that to this day. Remembered it to this day. So once again, man, Draymond Green, you should take some advice from OS1 Jones. Don't let people say your breath stink. And I know damn well your breath stink, man. All right, I don't give a damn what you say. But anyway, Steph Curry, they gave the man damn Chris and Porzingis. Anyway, back to what I was saying. Chris and Porzingis in 2024, when the Boston Celtics won the championship, they played 19 playoff games in that run, right? 19 playoff games. Kristaps Porzingis played in 7 of them. 7 of them. 7 of the 19 playoff games, guys. And he played 57 games that season. How many games did Kristaps Porzingis play last year? How many games did he play last year? 42 freaking games, guys. He played half a season. 42 games? But guys, how many games did he play this year? He had to have played a bunch of games. He must be back. He's got to be back, Kristaps Porzingis, because the freaking Golden State Warriors just brought him in to save Steph Curry, to help Steph Curry out, to help the Warriors out. They just brought him in. So he must have been playing great this year. He must be having a good season. Is he? Guys. The man has played 17 games. 17 games this season. 17 games? 17 games? Guys, he's played 17 games this year. 17 games. You bring that guy in? God damn. I tell you, boy. I don't know what we're doing. I don't know what we're doing here. I mean, this is getting ridiculous now. It's getting ridiculous. You brought Kristaps Porzingis to the Warriors thinking that's going to help the Warriors. And the reason why I'm saying this, that they think it's going to help, guys, is because I read the article, and what the Warriors are saying is that they believe that Kristaps Porzingis is ready to play. Guys, they brought this freaking guy in on a belief, on a hope, and a prayer. on the wish factor. Like my man Cedric the Entertainer said, the wish factor. I wish Porzingis would play every game. I wish an MF would. I wish he would. Wake me up when that guys, he hasn't played 70 games since his rookie year on the Knicks. He hasn't even come close to 60 games or 70 games in years. Years. And like I told you, it's not just about the regular season. He also misses postseason games on the regular. On the regular. So, I don't know what the hell he's doing for Steph Curry and the Warriors, man. Once again, shout out to Steph Curry. This poor guy on the Warriors. I mean, my goodness. Talking about inept franchises. What are these guys doing out there? These guys are still living off the Klay Thompson, Draymond Green stuff. Oh, they brought in Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green. They made all these great moves. Y'all ain't done nothing since then. What y'all doing now? Y'all bringing all these random dudes in there. Why? Because you got Steph Curry there. That's why. It's the only reason why it even remotely comes close to working. Because that dude is there doing his thing. But LeBron James fans out here crying because he gets every play he wants. I mean, hell, they wouldn't even let Kobe have Chris Paul. But LeBron James gets Anthony Davis, Luka Doncic. I mean, he could go wherever he wants, get what he trade he wants. I mean, weird stuff out here, man. Don't make any sense. Yeah, I mean, listen, I see you guys out there. I like Al Horford, but I told you, they got Al Horford too late. They needed Al Horford 10 years ago. Not this year. Not this year. You needed him a while back. Al Horford's a very good player, man. A good player. He's been able to play for a long time, man. Much respect to Al Horford. No one talks about his longevity. But, yo, he's too late for this. It's too late for Al Horford now. Too late. Like I said, they're bringing guys in that it's too late. Kristaps Porzingis, it's too late for that clown. Too late for that dude, man. Too late. All right? Too late. But like I said, man, I feel bad for Steph Curry. We know that, I mean, listen, Steph Curry ain't got much time left. I mean, he's starting to get more frail. He's starting to break down a little bit more often. He's starting to miss games more often, Steph Curry. Like I said, shout out to Steph Curry for winning that championship in 2022. To me, that was a big deal. A big deal for Steph Curry and his legacy. And like I said, it really exposed Kevin Durant. And it really showed and highlighted how they can bring people around Steph Curry and he be the mainstay. I told you, the man won with Andrew Wiggins. He turned Andrew Wiggins into a champion. LeBron James didn't even want to turn Andrew Wiggins into a teammate. And Steph Curry turned him into a champion, man. That's what Steph Curry did for all these guys. Right? You were able to bring all these guys around Steph Curry and make it work because of Steph Curry. When you think about when Kevin Durant came in, I've given Steph Curry heat for having Kevin Durant come in there. But remember, he came to him. And remember, what made it work was who? Steph Curry made that work. That wasn't Kevin Durant making it work. That was Steph Curry's greatness. There was no, feel out period. There was no flopping around or floundering around in the finals for Steph Curry. He didn't choke up in the finals like LeBron James when he had some new teammates, right? They didn't make excuses for Steph Curry. Oh, they got to figure it out. You know, Steph Curry, did Steph Curry have an ego problem? Did Steph Curry have an ego problem where he was trying to, overshadow Kevin Durant? No, Steph Curry was able to take a step back. And once again, he was the one that had to make the adjustments. It's his team. The burden was on him, and he was able to do that. Think about when LeBron James went to the Miami Heat. Who'd the burden fall on? The burden fell on Dwayne Wade. Remember, that first championship, Dwayne Wade was balling out. He was doing his thing, but LeBron James couldn't figure it out. So the burden fell on Dwayne Wade, right? Once again, Steph Curry, there was no worry about, oh my God, who's going to figure it out? Steph Curry was like, don't worry about it. We good. It's my team. We're going to be all right because I'm Steph Curry. You do whatever you got to do around here. I'm going to do it. I'm going to get it done. It's going to be all right, guys. So Dwayne Wade said in 2011, he said, I had to go back and watch Michael Jordan film and watch Michael Jordan in the triangle off ball. How he moved off ball. What he did off ball to help LeBron James. So the burden fell on him. It fell on him. That's how you know LeBron James ain't that great. Because I've told you, the great players, the burden's on them. The burden's on Larry Bird to make the adjustments for Kevin McHale and for Robert Parrish. Not on them. The burden's on Larry Bird. If it don't work out, they don't blame Robert Parrish or Kevin McHale. They blame Larry Bird if it don't work out. So the burden's on him to make the adjustments on the court so that they can have their role, so that they can feel good and have the confidence and they can be celebrated too. Like, think about Magic Johnson. The burden wasn't on the teammates. The burden's on him Not only was he the point guard, but he's the greatest player. So the burn's on Magic Johnson to get Byron Scott going, to get AC Green in the right position, to help the Kurt Rambuses, the Kareem Abdul-Jabbars, the James Worthies, the Michael Coopers. The burden's on Magic Johnson. If it don't work out, they blame Magic Johnson, not Michael Cooper, not Kurt Rambis, not AC Green, not Byron Scott. Those guys will get some heat time to time, absolutely. But the burden ultimately falls on Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, on Magic Johnson, on the superstar guys. The burden's on them. It's always on them. Bill Russell, right? The burden's on Bill Russell to sacrifice for Sam Jones, right? For John Havlicek, for everybody else out on the court. Bob Cousy can still be Bob Cousy, right? There was no like, oh my God, Bill Russell comes to the team and we don't know what to do now. They draft Bill Russell and everything falls apart because Bill Russell got an ego. He's trying to dominate the basketball. He's trying to do this. He's trying to do that. He's trying to be the guy closing the games. He's trying to be the guy grabbing all the rebounds. He's trying to be the guy making all the passes. No, that's not what the case was. So the burden's on the great players. Hakeem Olajuwon. We talk about Hakeem Olajuwon sometimes, right? And sometimes we get a little bit carried away because they'll say Hakeem Olajuwon played with bums. Oh, he played with nobodies. And Hakeem Olajuwon was carrying these guys and blah, blah, blah. He never had an all-star. That's not the case. Yes, Hakeem Olajuwon did not have a loaded roster. But once again, when we talk about the guys that he played with and how Hakeem Olajuwon played the game, he allowed those guys to have their roles. So the burden's on Hakeem Olajuwon. He got to figure it out. He got to figure out how to help Kenny Smith, right? And bring in a young Sam Cassell, or have a Mario Elie have a role, or a Matt Bullard, or have a connection with a guy down low like an Otis Thorpe. Have someone like Vernon Maxwell out there on the perimeter, right? You're allowing these guys to have their roles, right? You bring in a Clyde Drexler. No need for Clyde Drexler to have to make an adjustment. Or, well, what do I do now? Hakeem Olajuwon got this. Don't worry about it. The burden's on me. Clyde, do your thing, baby. I'm going to be here doing what I do. Don't worry about it. He don't need to dominate the basketball. He don't have to do all this kind of stuff. He don't got to, none of this stuff. None of it. There's no excuses out here. Those guys make the sacrifices for the team. That's what it was. They gave the effort. And that's why we respect them. That's not LeBron James out there on the court. You remember that. That's right. Can LeBron James stop Jason Terry? Can he? Magic Johnson said that, y'all. Much respect to Magic Johnson for keeping it real right there. Keeping it real right there. That was a true statement, guys. That's not a hate statement or a lie, a fabrication. That's the facts. Can he stop him? And we saw he couldn't. Couldn't stop him. Couldn't stop him, guys. Yo, shout out to my man Eddie TV. Yo, shout out to you. My man always coming through. You guys know Eddie TV, man. Shout out to you, man, for coming through. It means a lot. Much respect. Yo, shout Matt Bullard. You guys remember Matt Bullard? Yo, every once in a while, like random names pop up in my mind. Sometimes when I think about some of these teams, man, and it's like, damn, I ain't thought about that guy. I heard that guy's name in a while. You know, some of these like real obscure role players from the 90s. But like I said, when you think about some of the guys, like when you think about that Houston Rockets team, Robert Horry, like I said, the Sam Cassells, Mario Elie, Kenny Smith, a lot of those guys, they came up with big-time moments. Big-time moments. Like Sam Cassell was like a rookie, and this man was like playing like he was a veteran, ice in his veins. So those guys had moments. We know Robert Horry, right? That's where he started out. Robert Horry, right? Becoming and developing, right, that reputation. But those guys, like, they played their role. So, no, they didn't have the name on the back of the jersey necessarily, or a bunch of all-star selections or all-NBAs, right? None of that kind of stuff. But those guys were very good at what they did. And when you have someone like Hakeem Olajuwon holding it down the way that he did on both sides of the ball, it makes you a very formidable team. What's really funny about some of the trades I saw is, like I said, to me, we laughed. I told you about the Luke Kennard to the Lakers, right? And when we talk about the Luke Kennard situation, I told you guys how I had posted it. I said, it's not an upgrade because Danny Green called it an upgrade. And I said, it's not an upgrade for the Lakers unless you're telling me it's an upgrade for LeBron James. Like Luke Kennard's coming to replace LeBron James. To me, that's the only way it's an actual upgrade. So I told you, someone commented to me that I was stupid or I didn't really know what I was talking about because Luke Kennard is an upgrade for Gabe Vincent and how Luke Kennard leads the league in three-point percentage. And I tell you guys, that's laughable to me because if anyone believes that the Lakers are not winning a championship this year because of Gabe Vincent, like he's holding them back, you guys ever notice this is the running theme here? They always point the finger at like the seventh guy on the bench or a role guy that's not playing bad, but it's always someone else. They always need someone else on a LeBron James team. They have 2 top 10 players on the roster. Austin Reeves, who's what? A top 20 player in the league, according to ESPN. You have all these guys on your roster: a DeAndre Ayton, a Rui Hachimura, a Vanderbilt, a LaRavia, a LeBron James Jr. You have all these guys on the team, but Gabe Vincent's holding you back. You have to upgrade from Gabe Vincent. So I laugh and I say, if you think that Luke Kennard is an upgrade because he's upgrade from Gabe Vincent, then obviously you think that Gabe Vincent was holding the Lakers back. And if you think that the Lakers are being held back because of Gabe Vincent, then you are not watching the games and you have no idea what you're talking about. You're not putting any accountability on LeBron James. Because I told you, on the season, Gabe Vincent is a +3 on the season. Right? I believe I wrote it down, actually, what Gabe Vincent is on the season. Let me see if I wrote this down here. I know I wrote it down somewhere here. What Gabe Vincent was, man, because this is laughable stuff. Gabe Vincent a +3. A +3 in the season. But here's the problem. LeBron James a -29. -29. And LeBron James manipulates that plus-minus by trying to stay in late stat pad late in games. So he would probably be a lot worse than a -29 if he wasn't always staying late in games and trying to stat chase and stat pad to once again try to help his plus-minus out. But Gabe Vincent a +3 in the plus-minus. But he's holding back the Lakers. I think LeBron James is. So like I told you, as long as LeBron James on that team playing 33, 35 minutes a night, the Lakers are not contenders. And that's not an upgrade for the Lakers. So a lot of these moves to me are laughable. They just made a move to make a move. It didn't do it. It did not move the needle at all. No, Luke Kennard, Gabe Vincent. That's where the needle moved. Gabe Vincent, Luke Kennard. Luke Kennard, Gabe Vincent. Like I said, if you would have told me they brought Luke Kennard in for LeBron James, then I would say LeBron James, Luke Kennard. LeBron James, Luke Kennard. That's what he would have moved the needle like that. LeBron James, Luke Kennard, right? Like, but that's not what you got. I don't know what we're doing here. All you do is throw another guy out there to stand on the 3-point line so LeBron James can do what? Stand around and go like that and throw a pass to Luke Kennard? And then they can talk about, yo, you saw that pass from LeBron James? I never seen that before. Every time these guys are on the microphone, they've never seen it before. How long you been watching the league? I ain't never seen it before. We ain't never seen this before. I'm the greatest. This guy's the greatest. How long y'all been watching basketball? Don't make no sense, right? What about Kevin Durant? What about Kevin Durant? Has Kevin Durant made the Rockets better this year? Are the Houston Rockets better with Kevin Durant this year? It seems like a wash to me. I mean, what's Kevin Durant doing out there? They just lost to the Charlotte Hornets, right? 109-99. They just lost the other night to the Boston Celtics without Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown was DNP. And they lost to the Celtics without Jaylen Brown. They lost, guys. What was the score? 114-93 without Jaylen Brown. Kevin Durant, 11 points. 11 points on 4 for 11, 0 for 4 from three-point range, 5 rebounds, a -22 on the basketball court, Kevin Durant was, against the Jaylen Brown-less Boston Celtics. And the Celtics are a good team. They didn't have Jaylen Brown on the court. And they still got beat down. So, I think that the Rockets might have been better last year with Dillon Brooks. Damn. I mean, they might be better But they might have been better with Dillon Brooks last year, the Rockets. Guys, this is getting really weird out here, man. Yo, shout out to Mad Dog. I see what you put out there. Phil Miner, what up? Cash Lord Raider. Yeah, Dillon Brooks making his sons better KD. Yo, I want you guys to think about something. Yo, shout out to Cash Lord Rider. Remember, Dillon Brooks and Kevin Durant were essentially traded for each other, right? We know that it was Jalen Green, right? Right. It was a couple of guys, right? But it was essentially Dillon Brooks went to the Suns, right? Kevin Durant's on the Rockets now. And what Dillon Brooks has done this season, and I'm not a huge Dillon Brooks guy. Like, I don't know his career like that. I've been following him, so I don't know him like that. We know him from the interaction with LeBron James, and we laugh at some of stuff. Like Dillon Brooks, for a while, he was a goof to me. He was a goof, right? He was a guy that he was almost to me turning into a Lance Stevenson. That's what he was turning into to me. I feel like he's turned a corner, and I don't consider him that way anymore. I think this season has been very good for Dillon Brooks' reputation, and for him personally. I think this season has been very good for him. The way that he's carried himself this season, the reputation that he's kind of, Dylan the villain. I respect it. And he's had some really nice flashes this year. So I think what Dillon Brooks has brought to the Suns is something I talked about in the preseason with Dillon Brooks being taken of the Rockets. When you talk about yeah, Dillon Brooks got cleared up. When we talk about the Dillon Brooks stuff, I told you, and what I think he brings to the Phoenix Suns, what he brought to the Rockets, isn't necessarily like skills, right? Or a guy who's going to score a lot of points or get a lot of rebounds or a lot of assists, right? That's not what it's about for him. What I think he brings is an attitude, right? He brings an attitude to your team. So when we think about Draymond Green, this is what Draymond Green brought. This is what he was supposed to continue to do. Bring an attitude to the team, right? Be a glue guy, right? Not hinder the team. But Draymond Green's become more of a hindrance than a help, right? And I told you, he's become delusional as to how good or great he is. Dillon Brooks, once again, he's still, developing here, but he hasn't been delusional in these interviews that I've listened to him speak. At least, like I said, he's not sounding crazy, thinking he's the greatest defender of all time, or, he's like the greatest enforcer or the biggest goon in NBA's history. Because when we talk about some goons out there or people being enforcers, Dillon Brooks ain't an enforcer on that level. And he's not a goon to that degree, because I don't consider him, like I said, like a goon type of dude. But he's been bringing an attitude to the Phoenix Suns that Kevin Durant doesn't bring to the Houston Rockets, that he didn't bring to the Suns. And you see that manifesting itself through the season now. I told you, the Rockets to me are a good team, but are they better than they were last year? Right? They got rid of Dillon Brooks. I know they're missing something, the Rockets. And a lot of us say they're missing a point guard, right? They're missing Fred VanVleet. And Fred VanVleet's not a all-time great legendary point guard or something like that, but he's still a point guard nonetheless. And they're missing that to a degree because they've had Amen Thompson being a point guard all year, essentially. He's not really a point guard. Kevin Durant's not a point guard. Sengun's not a point guard, right? So they're missing a true point guard out in the court, I believe. But overall, Kevin Durant's not bringing real leadership to that team. He's not really even bringing his scoring to that team. But I told you, Kevin Durant in this era right now, he should easily be averaging over 30 points a game right now. For the Rockets, like essentially that's all they need you to do. That's all you really do on the court, really, is score and shoot. So they need you to do it at a high level. 34 points a game, 32 points a game. That's what Kevin Durant needs to do for the Rockets, for them to make that step to be really contenders to that level. Because Steven Adams went down, and that was a big loss for the Houston Rockets, because he was the best offensive rebounder in the NBA this season, Steven Adams. Yo, you guys are funny, man. Hey, yo, Robert, who you taking? Prime Steve Francis or prime Stephon Marbury? Oh, man. Ooh, that's a good one right there. That's actually a really good one. I feel like I thought about this not that long ago. I was thinking about like combo guards in NBA's history. And, I think Stephon Marbury, Steve Francis, like a Derrick Rose, Russell Westbrook, right? Like these scoring point guards right? To me, those like combo guards, like even like a Steph Curry, right? They're not really a true point guards. They're like scoring point guards. Steve Francis and Stephon Marbury. I don't know. I might be biased on this one, but I'd probably go with Steve Francis. I feel like Steve Francis was a better athlete than Stephon Marbury, but I feel like Stephon Marbury, I feel like he could probably explode for more. Like, I feel like he was more explosive as far as scoring wise. Like, Stephon Marbury could just drop, like, I think he could drop 50 on you. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was the thing. But, I mean, you know what's really sad about Stephon Marbury is that we really never got to see him and Kevin Garnett. Like, when you think about people making excuses or people, you know, crying and moaning, like Kevin Garnett, like this dude Marbury left him high and dry, right? He left him high and dry. Like Stephon Marbury left Kevin Garnett, like Kevin Durant left Russell Westbrook, right? They left the dude. So it would have been really great to see if we would have got with a Stephon Marbury and a Kevin Garnett dynamic because of the overall game of Kevin Garnett on both sides of the ball, his tenacity, right? His fire, and Stephon Marbury's like his explosiveness, and Stephon Marbury's skills. Like Stephon Marbury's dribbling ability, his finishing ability under the rim. Like I told you, his explosiveness. He was one of those guys where he could, like I said, he could explode on you for a 50-point game. But I like Steve Francis more. To me, I thought Steve Francis was a better athlete. The problem with someone like Steve Francis and the Marburys is the head case, right? They're a little bit in their head, a little crazy sometimes. Stephon Marbury, erratic out there on the basketball court. Same thing with Steve Francis. And to me, I would say that Steph Marbury probably had better skills, a better skill set. But I feel like I said the athleticism of Steve Francis, I feel like if he could have gotten a chance to not deal with the injuries and really been a chance to develop, he could have been somebody, man. You know what I'm saying? He really could have, Steve Francis. Shout out to those guys, man. Like I said, it's a shout out to all them dudes, man. For real, that was a good time in the NBA. Like I said, when you have some of those guys out there, when you think about the way that he could get up, Steve Francis, man, electrifying. Like when you think about like Derrick Rose and the way that he would dunk the ball, we think about some of these dynamic athletic point guards. Steve Francis was doing some crazy. I mean, Stevie Franchise, he was doing crazy stuff out there, man. Crazy stuff out there. So shout out to, like I said, both those players. Like I said, like Stephon Marbury, like I said, it would have been really great to see if he would have stayed in Minnesota, what that could have turned into with him and Kevin Garnett, because we could have been talking about, you know, one of the greatest duos in NBA's history. Garnett and Marbury, funky, man. Would have been sensational. But yeah, back to the Kevin Durant thing. I don't think that Kevin Durant actually made the Houston Rockets that much more formidable or much better. Like I said, we'll see what happens in the playoffs, you know, where they end up, who they match up with in the first round. Because I told you, right now, from what I'm noticing, what I'm looking at in the Western Conference, this playoff is going to heavily come down to matchups, guys. It's heavily going to come down to matchups. And I think, like we've seen in the past, teams are going to start to try to position themselves to avoid certain teams in that first round. Because I think that there's some teams that, like, think with the Lakers last year. They didn't match up with the Minnesota Timberwolves good at all, man. That was not a good matchup for them. Not a good matchup. The Lakers get lucky sometimes out there in these matchups. They didn't get lucky last year. So to me, there are some teams that they're bundled up right now from like 2 through 6, 2 through 7. It's very close. So, you know, then that last 20, 30 games this season, like I told you, you're going to have teams jockeying for position, looking to see who they're playing in that first round because they don't want to match up with certain teams, man. I'm telling you, you do not want to match up with some of these teams in that first round because it could be a problem based off some of these matchups. But I don't know about Kevin Durant and what he's done. And like I told you, it's just really funny to me when you think about some of this stuff. So once again, yo, shout out to all you guys that continue to come through. Fancy, what up? Lionel Jones, what's going on? Yeah, Steve Francis crossover was crazy. Marbury had that handle too. You know, Marbury put a star out there, a Starberry. Shout out to him. But you guys are right, man. Yo, FBS 1579. Oh, man, when are you going back on Man Down Sports? I like that panel with you and Dominique on it. Yeah, once again, shout out to my man Mel over on Man Down Sports. Shout out to Chris. All the guys over there doing their thing. I don't know if they have a show going on right now. They might be on a live right now. They usually go live on Friday nights. Yeah, usually, you know, I'm on there. Like, there's no, like, I'm not on there, like, routinely. Sometimes Mel will send me a text and, hey, man, I have a spot on the page. I mean, his show is pretty full. like Man Down Sports, they always got like mad people on there. So there's not really a lot of times, or I guess room for me to be on there. But every once in a while, if he has room on the panel, he'll reach out to me and ask me if I'm free to be on there. And anytime he reaches out to me, I'd love to be on that show with those guys because, you know, a lot of times, you know, there's a lot of pushback on things that I say from them, and we go back and forth. So it's always great, like I said, to get different people's views that, you know, say things sometimes that maybe I don't agree with. And then we said we have a good back and forth on that panel. And like I said, it's always usually good because you have a bunch of people there. So I don't know, maybe I'll be on there. I'm going to be on, you guys know my man Bruce over on the Format Podcast. Shout out to the Format Podcast. On Michael Jordan's birthday, which I believe is the 17th, I'm going to be on that show, on the Format Podcast with Bruce and his people over there. I think Transformer might be there. The guy, you guys remember them guys from the when I was on Man Down Sports? Was that a month or so ago? We were doing that debate with the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s. My man Bruce over there from the Format. So I'm gonna be on that show on the 17th, which I believe is it might be a Tuesday. February 17th might be a Tuesday, I think. So I'll be on that show. I'm not sure the times, but you know he'll be posting something soon. But I'll be on that show. You know what's something that I saw with LeBron James that was floating around on the internet? You know, we talk about LeBron James and Kevin Durant, is that when you think about them, and I told you guys that they've destroyed the competitive balance of the 2010s, right? They were the ones, LeBron James, Kevin Durant, like this. They destroyed the 2010s, right? They destroyed competitive basketball. That's what they did, guys. And I saw something come up, and they were comparing LeBron James' career and Kevin Durant's career to Michael Jordan's overall career, right? And they were comparing, you know, all the accomplishments versus Michael Jordan. And it's hilarious to me. Yo, shout out to Troy Black, what up? Yeah, a lot of you guys that came through that live, that was funny, man, right? It was crazy out there. Ancient Warrior 67, what about Dart? Do you still go to play? Yeah. Dart, I think Dart is going to I think he's trying to come back on YouTube. On like his original channel, I think. I'm not sure. I talked to him like a month ago. Maybe actually not like a month, a couple weeks ago, maybe. I talked to Dart. So shout out to my man Dart. You guys know, you know, that's how I started basically doing these live shows, was on Michael Jordan Fans of the Best, or with a lot of those guys back in the day. Like I said, he really helped me to, you know, get out there and meet a lot of other people out here on YouTube. And he had some, you know, technical difficulties, if that's what you want to call it, with this YouTube thing, because YouTube is confusing, it's complicated sometimes, it's weird. I told you they suspended my channel once, and they demonetized my channel because they said I was stealing content. And I was like, stealing content? I was like, only content I use is my own. And they had flagged my channel because I was using the Shaqtin' a Fool videos. You guys remember I was doing those shorts of Shaqtin' a Fool, LeBron James, Shaqtin' a Fool, and they demonetized and suspended my channel because of that. And like I told you guys, I barely even do stuff like that. And I didn't think it was a big deal. So sometimes on YouTube, you know, I don't even know sometimes. Like, it doesn't make any sense. I told you, sometimes, you know, people tell me that they get unsubscribed from my channel where they never unsubscribe from my channel. You know, I wake up in the morning sometimes and I have like 10 less subscribers, right? And I know these things happen, things fluctuate, but it's weird, man. It's just weird to me sometimes. So once again, shout out to my man Dart. Hopefully he'll get his channel back up again. And, you know, we'll be able to collaborate and get back to some of the things that we should do. Yeah, you guys know the deal. But when I saw that, it was crazy to me that LeBron James and Kevin Durant combined, their careers combined, is still not as impressive as Michael Jordan's career. It's not as impressive, guys. I mean, isn't that crazy? Like, when you think about it, I think Kevin Durant's in his 17th season. I think LeBron James is in his 23rd year, right? They keep, you know, celebrating that. How could you forget it? So combined, let's call it 40 seasons, right? 23 and 17 is 40. So combined, they played 40 seasons. Let's call Michael Jordan 15 seasons, right? 15 full seasons for Michael Jordan, right? 13 on the Bulls, 2 on the Wizards, right? I mean, it's not even really 13 full seasons on the Bulls, but whatever. We'll call it 15 seasons for Michael Jordan. versus 40 seasons for LeBron James and Kevin Durant combined. So during this time, combined, they both have 6 rings, right? So Michael Jordan won 6 championships. LeBron James and Kevin Durant combined have 6 NBA championships. And remember, those are 6 fraudulent rings. Those are not as respected as Michael Jordan's rings. Nowhere near as respected as Michael Jordan's rings. So when we talk about the 6 rings that they've accumulated combined, they had to stack super teams up to do this, right? They had to cheat the system to do it. They had to cheat the game. Not as respected as Michael Jordan's. Shout out to my man. the Shannon Russell 2618. What's up, the Shannon Russell? You've been around for a minute. You used to always come through the shows back in the day when Michael Jordan fans are the best. If you duck in matchups, you are trash. You never heard Michael Jordan scared of a team because of matchups. Exactly. You right about that. My man, DeShannon Russell. But remember, basketball comes down to matchups, right? That's what it comes down to. Some teams match up good against some teams. Some teams don't match up good against others. It's not necessarily an excuse, but it's just the reality of the matter. Like I told you guys, in my opinion, when I think about like the great defenses, and oftentimes people bring up, the bad boy Pistons when they talk about Michael Jordan. Oh, he had to go against the bad boy Pistons. And we all know that they were a very formidable defense. But why were they a formidable defense? Not only did they have great individual defensive players, but they were an excellent team defense, right? But also because they were dirty and physical, but they were dirty, guys. That's what really made them formidable, because you could get hurt going against them in there. You know what I'm saying? Because they were doing some dirty tactics like that. When I think about the great defenses, I think about the New York Knicks, guys. When I think about some of the great defense that Michael Jordan went against, I think about the New York Knicks. And when I think about Detroit Pistons versus New York Knicks, I'm not going to sit here and argue for who's the greater defense all time. I told you guys, in my opinion, the Knicks are the best defense of the 90s. I'm talking about the consistency throughout the 90s, not one individual defensive team. I'm talking about throughout the 90s. To me, the Knicks were the most consistent, and they were the most consistently great defense during that time. I told you they were the number 1 defense, I think 4 or 5 times during the 90s. And they were always within the top 3, top 5 defenses throughout that decade, mostly. Excellent defense. But why were they an excellent defense? And to me, why do I think that they were more formidable than the Pistons were? Why do I think they matched up better with Michael Jordan than the Pistons did? Because the New York Knicks had Patrick Ewing. Right? The Detroit Pistons didn't have a Patrick Ewing. They had a Bill Laimbeer. They had a John Sally. They had a James Edwards. You didn't have a Patrick Ewing. There's a difference there. What Patrick Ewing could do, those long arms and the intimidating shot blocker that he was. No one on the Pistons was a shot blocker like Patrick Ewing. Not John Sally. He was nowhere on the level of Patrick Ewing as far as down low shot blocking, intimidation, and presence. So when you talk about defensive guys and the effort that they're giving, right, and you talk about guys like Bill Laimbeer, who was a nasty guy. Bill Laimbeer was a nasty dude, man. He was nasty. Like Bill Laimbeer was the kind of guy of the ilk of a Bill Romanowski. I don't know if you guys remember Bill Romanowski. Bill Romanowski played in the NFL for a lot of years for a bunch of teams, and he was a good player, right? He was a hard-nosed linebacker, but he was a nasty, dirty guy, a nasty dude, a nasty guy. He was a Bill Laimbeer type dude. You remember Bill Romanowski spit in the face of that guy? He was a dirty guy. He would step on guys, right, when they were down. That's Bill Laimbeer. That's what he was. He was a nasty dude. But let me ask you guys a question. Who's a bigger enforcer? Who's more intimidating to you? Bill Laimbeer or Charles Oakley? Who's more of an intimidator, an enforcer? Bill Laimbeer or Charles Oakley, guys? Charles Oakley to me is more intimidating. He's more scarier to me than Bill Laimbeer was. And Bill Laimbeer was a nasty, scary guy. He was very ornery, but he wasn't Charles Oakley, man. All right, Charles Oakley, he'll crush Bill Laimbeer, guys. That's the facts there. Like I said, Bill Laimbeer was a good player. A good player. He was just a dirty player. He was a good player, Bill Laimbeer. He was, man. I told you, if Draymond Green gets the Hall of Fame, Bill Laimbeer needs to get the Hall of Fame, guys. So anyway, so when you talk about Patrick Ewing, you talk about Charles Oakley, and you talk about guys like John Starks, the Gerald Wilkins over the years, the other guys, Anthony Masons, right? The other guys on that roster, you're being coached by Pat Riley, right? So you have a formidable coach, right? That coaches defense, right? It made the Knicks very formidable, man. They were tough to beat. And to me, they were more effective against Michael Jordan, man. When you look at the games that Michael Jordan had against the Knicks, he had a lot of great games, right? He had a lot of tough games against the Knicks, though, too. And not, like, Michael Jordan didn't really have a lot of bad series in his career. Like, you can't really point to a bad series for Michael Jordan. You could point to a game here, a game there. But overall, for series, Michael Jordan was rarely bad. But when he played against the New York Knicks, oftentimes in the playoffs, guys, what do you notice from Michael Jordan going against the New York Knicks? He had to work for it, man. Usually his shooting percentages are a little bit lower going against the New York Knicks, right? The percentages are down more, right? It's harder to score against the Knicks oftentimes in some scenarios. But Michael Jordan came through when it mattered most. So in 93, right? In game 4, he came through. In game 5, right? We remember these kinds of things. So the moments Michael Jordan came through, but the defense that the Knicks played, how vulnerable they were. So anyway, when we talk about some of this matchup, I thought the New York Knicks matched up very well against the Bulls and Michael Jordan. I told you, John Starks watching film on Michael Jordan. I mean, he knew what Michael Jordan was going to do before Michael Jordan knew. There was a play there in the game 2 of the 1993 Eastern Conference Finals where Michael Jordan's coming down the court and he goes to make a move on John Starks. And you can tell that John Starks knew what he was going to do before Jordan knew what he was going to do. And he timed Michael Jordan out and ripped the ball from Michael Jordan in a way that you rarely see someone rip Michael Jordan. And John Starks did that, right? And, this is part of the things I've told you guys. It wasn't about the name on the back of the jersey. It was about competing. I told you, you had to be prepared to go out there on the court against Michael Jordan, John Starks, these guys. They had to show up because they knew Michael Jordan was going to show up. So when you talk about what Michael Jordan didn't accomplish in his career versus LeBron James and Kevin Durant combined, 6 championships. And like I told you guys, Michael Jordan has 6 respected championships. Kevin Durant, LeBron James, 6 championships. Fraudulent. 6 fraudulent rings that nobody respects. Going against each other. A bunch of weirdos, man. No one cares. So they're even on the rings, even though Michael Jordan played 15 seasons and they combined for 40 seasons. Wow. How many MVPs between them? 5 MVPs between them, right? 4 for LeBron James. Once again, given 4 MVPs. Remember, they gave him 2 on the super team. When Kevin Durant was on the Golden State Warriors, I don't think he ever finished above 5th in the MVP voting. But LeBron James won 2 MVPs on his super team. Weak stuff out here. Steph Curry never won MVP with Kevin Durant on the super team. So, 5 MVPs between Kevin Durant and LeBron James, 5 MVPs of Michael Jordan. That's right. Greg Anthony was a dirty guy. Greg Anthony was probably the only guy on the Knicks that was actually trying to hurt Michael Jordan out there, man. John Starks was not a dirty player. Gerald Wilkins was not a dirty player. Patrick Ewing was not a dirty player. Oakley was not a dirty player. Anthony Mason was not a dirty player. Not in my opinion, anyways. I didn't think any of those guys were dirty. But on the team like the Detroit Pistons, a lot of those guys were dirty, man. They were doing dirty things. The only guy that I would exclude from that, I would exclude Joe Dumars and maybe Vin the Microwave Johnson. From what I've watched, all them other dudes doing dirty stuff, guys. They were doing dirty stuff. It was getting crazy out there. I told you, I posted that video. Michael Jordan and Mark Aguirre going nose to nose. Nose to nose. Because they were talking trash. We were talking trash with Mark Aguirre. Mark Aguirre run his mouth. Mark Aguirre pushing Horace Grant, right? Slapping the ball out of his hand. It was getting crazy out there. So once again, 5 MVPs from Michael Jordan, 5 MVPs for Kevin Durant and LeBron James combined. How many times has Kevin Durant and LeBron James led the league in something? How many times? I don't know. Right? They combined for 3 times leading the league in something, I think. Well, no, 5 times leading the league in something, or 6 times. I'm trying to think. Kevin Durant has 4 scoring titles. LeBron James 1, and 1 assist title. So 6. They've led the league in something 6 times combined. Michael Jordan, 13 times. 10 scoring titles. 3 steals titles for Michael Jordan. So once again, guys, he's over doubled what they've done, and they've got way more seasons under their belt than Michael Jordan. Guys, this is laughable here. Laughable stuff. Michael Jordan Defensive Player of the Year award, they've never won one. They're not all defensive first teams. I think LeBron James and Kevin Durant combined for 5 all defensive first teams. Both of them combined for 5. All on LeBron James' side. Michael Jordan with 9. Michael Jordan has 2 3-peats. They never 3-peated once combined. Never once did they 3-peat. Back-to-back championships for LeBron James. Back-to-back champions for Kevin Durant. Never 3-peated. Michael Jordan did that twice. Michael Jordan did all of that on one team. One team. One team. Kevin Durant and LeBron James have combined to play for 8 teams. 8. 8. Damn, y'all. That's some crazy stuff right there. There's one more thing I want to talk about before I log off here. One more thing I want to talk about. I want to talk about some comments I heard from Jason Williams. Talk about Kobe Bryant. I told you guys, I can't root for the Patriots. I can't root for the Patriots. I never do it. I can't do it, guys. And there's just no way I could do it. Even if the Patriots were going against the Eagles in the Super Bowl, like they were, I can't root for the Patriots, man. I can't root for them. If it was the Cowboys versus the Patriots, I'm not rooting for the Patriots, guys. I can't root for the Patriots, man. I just can't do it. I'm a Giants fan. We played against the Patriots twice in the Super Bowl. Eli Manning's 2-0 against Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. 2-0 against Tom Brady, man, in the Super Bowl. Eli Manning. I can't. I can't root for the Patriots, man. But much respect to the Patriots, man. They got a good team. I'm impressed. Like I said, I can't believe they're back in the Super Bowl. I'm like, damn. Like, the Giants, they won. Listen, I tell people all the time, if the Giants never won a Super Bowl ever again, if they never won a Super Bowl, never even made to a Super Bowl ever again, it's all right. Yeah, you be upset. Like, y'all, you want your team to do good. You want to see them win. But, guys, to be honest, the Giants have won 4 Super Bowls in my lifetime. In my lifetime, right? So, and like I said, 2 of the Super Bowls they won, 2007 and 2011, I remember vividly, very vividly, right? So I can't complain. I can't complain. There are fan base out there that they haven't seen their team win a damn thing. A damn thing. So, like I said, I'm very humbled that I was able to watch, especially the 2007 Super Bowl against the Patriots. They were undefeated. My goodness, guys. That Super Bowl against the Patriots, man, that win right there, I was watching live, guys. Eli Manning, like, I watched it live, y'all. Like, that moment, like, that play live in the moment, I have that. A lot of fan bases don't have those kind of moments. They don't have nothing. You know what I'm saying? I told you, I remember when Tom Brady laughed at Plexico Burress' predictions for the game. And he said, we're only going to score 14 points. Because I think Plexico predicted they were going to beat the Patriots like 17-14 or 21-14 or 21-17. Like, it was something like that he predicted. And when they asked Tom Brady about it, in the that little pre-Super Bowl, news conference thing, they asked him about Plexico Burress' comments, and he laughed and said, we're only going to score 14 points. Because remember, they were undefeated, and they were the highest scoring offense of all time. Randy Moss, Tom Brady, lights out. Not the Super Bowl, because Strahan was coming. They were putting that heat on you. OCU Manura, right? These guys were coming with that heat. So once again, shout out to the Patriots for being in the Super Bowl, but I'm rooting for the Seattle Seahawks. I guess I got to root for the Seattle Seahawks, guys. I got to root for Seattle. All right? We'll see what happens, guys. It should be guys. A lot of times in these scenarios, because I don't have any money invested in this game, or I'm not a fan of either team really. I'm just a fan of the game. I'm a fan of football. I was hoping for a good game, right? I don't want to see a Super Bowl, 30, 35-10. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully it'll be a good competitive Super Bowl, right? That's a lot of times what we really hope for. But we'll see, man. Like I said, think about these quarterbacks. Sam Darnold, what's his dude? Drake May, I think the kid's name is. Who would have thought? Who would have thought, man? But they were solid quarterbacks in college. So, like I said, it's crazy right now. But we'll see what happens. But before I log off this live show, like I said, I hope you guys are having a great Friday night. I guess I hope you guys have a great weekend, man. I want to talk about some comments that I heard Jason Williams say about Kobe Bryant. Yeah, that's a good thing too, man. Yeah, it's good to see a different team. I told you, I was rooting the last couple of years. I've been rooting for a Bills Lions Super Bowl. That's what I've been rooting for. And I think the Bills window is closing, and I think the Lions window might have closed on them. And I was rooting for a Bills Lions Super Bowl for the last several seasons. I think that would have been a fantastic Super Bowl. And you know, mainly because these teams haven't won. They're not in the Super Bowl every year. Like, it would have been great to see that. You know what I'm saying? When I was growing up in the 80s and 90s watching the NFL, I remember the Bills going to 4 straight Super Bowls. And I told you, I was a huge Emmitt Smith fan. So I watched a lot of the Cowboys games. The Cowboys were always on TV. They're America's team. So I always watched the Cowboys games. And when you think about the Bills and you think about the team that they had a stacked team, the Bills got. You're not in the Super Bowl 4 years in a row. They beat some good teams to get there. Remember, they beat Joe Montana's Kansas City Chiefs. What was that, 1991? 92? I can't remember what year that was. With Marcus Allen, right? Trying to think. Was Derek Thomas on that team? But Joe Montana was the quarterback of the Chiefs, and they beat the Chiefs in the championship game to get to the Super Bowl. The Bills were good, man. They were great, the Bills. They were awesome. Their defense, Cornelius Bennett, they were stacked. Bruce Smith, they were stacked on D. They were stacked on Thurman Thomas. See, Thurman Thomas gets lost in the shuffle because he played in the same era with Emmitt Smith and Barry Sanders. So Thurman Thomas is like the guy you forget about. But Thurman Thomas was a complete back, could do everything. He could pick up the blitz. He could catch the ball in the backfield. He could run the ball between the tackles on the outside. Thurman Thomas could do it all, but he doesn't get mentioned as much because he played in the same era with Emmitt and Barry Sanders. Okay. So once again, the Bills, they weren't in 4 Super Bowls by accident. It wasn't because the AFC was trash. They beat some really good teams to get there, man. Some really good teams to get to that championship game 4 years in a row. Thank you, Newman, for letting me know that Derek Thomas was on that team. Like I said, I remember Marcus Allen was on that team. And Marcus Allen was like 1 billion years old on that team. Right? Like 1 billion on that team, Marcus Allen. Marcus Allen had, once again, he had longevity on Marcus Allen. He had durability, Marcus Allen. He was tough, Marcus Allen. But I'm saying he was a class act, Marcus Allen. And that man was still getting it done on the Chiefs all them years later with Joe Montana. Exactly, man. Y'all forget this stuff, man. Yeah, man. For real. Yeah, man. Rest in peace to Derek Thomas, for real, because you're talking about one of the great defensive guys. I mean, my goodness, Derek Thomas, sensational, guys. Sensational, and died tragically in a car accident, man. So once again, rest in peace to Derek Thomas, man. Because I said, I mean, you talk about some of the great defensive guys. We've talked about some. I mean, I just mentioned Bruce Smith. I mean, go look at Bruce Smith's resume. Crazy, guys. Crazy stuff, man. You remember Bruce Smith from the movie The Little Giants? I was watching that movie with my son, right, a couple of weeks ago. I told my wife, I was like, babe, you know what movie we should watch that I saw was on the other day was Little Giants. And she said, that's a good idea. So I sat down, my son, my daughter, we all watched as a family. And Bruce Smith came on there with Emmitt Smith, right? And my son knows how I feel about Emmitt Smith. So he's like, oh, that's Emmitt Smith. And I was like, yeah. And he goes, who's that guy? I'm like, that's Bruce Smith. And he goes, that guy's scary looking. And I was like, Bruce Smith was scary. I'm like, that dude was good, man. I'm like, and that dude is super strong. Because he's like, man, he looks so strong. And I said, and then there was a scene in The Little Giants where he crushed the football, right? He pumped the football. And he's like, intimidation, right? And my son was like, what? He was like, Dad, you saw that? I was like, that's Bruce Smith, man. I'm like, don't mess with Bruce Smith. For real. Like I said, man, crazy stuff out there. Yeah, yo, Troy Black. That's a perfect way to describe Marcus Allen. Smooth. That brother was smooth, man. He was like the Billy D. Williams of running backs. That dude was like silk out there, man. He really was. And every time you heard him speak in an interview or you heard him speak in general, he just sounded really cool, Marcus Allen. I always liked Marcus Allen. I told you, always liked him the way he ran the ball. I was a running back, so I gravitated to all the running backs, in the NFL during those times. And man, I loved Marcus Allen. Like I said, the way he ran the ball was just really smooth, man. AP 530, what up? Shout out to you for coming through. Ronnie Lott. Yeah, I mean, think about Ronnie Lott, man, he hurt you out there. And I told you, back in those days, guys, they were trying to hurt you. Remember, it wasn't guys trying to hurt you to the point where you were a career-ending injury or your life was threatened. They were trying to put you out the game. Out the game. They were trying to get you out the game. That's the facts. That's how we all played football back in the day. I know that's how I played. When I played defense, I was trying to put you out the game. I was trying to put you out. Not because I wanted to hurt you or maim you or have you go to the hospital or something like that. No, but that's how we play football. I'm trying to hit you so you have to go out the game. Yo, man, that guy just rocked me. I'm out for the game. You know what I'm saying? That's what we try to do. That's what they did in the NFL. Remember, the NFL promoted the hits. They promoted the violence. They promoted this stuff. Remember, that was a badge of honor, right? Going out there and hitting somebody, laying them out, right? Ear pad comes flying off. Your mouthpiece comes flying out. Your chin strap gets knocked up into your nose. You ever get hit like that? Yeah, that's what those guys were doing back in them days, all right? And they make no mistakes about it, man. Right? No apologies. Steve Atwater, bang, laying you out. You guys remember Brian Dawkins? Bang, laying you out. Remember Troy Polamalu? Bang, laying you out. I love Troy Polamalu. One of my favorite players, man, was Troy Polamalu. That dude was insane. Insane. I loved his, the man was reckless abandon. Everything was reckless abandon from Troy Polamalu. That dude was like a suicide bomber, man. A kamikaze out there on the field. Just going crazy, man. Just going crazy out on dudes. All you saw was the hair flying, and that dude would be out there. I mean, my goodness, man. Them Steelers teams, man, there's some really good Steelers teams, man. They really did, man. I love Jerome Bettis. I love the bus, man. I really did. I told you, a lot of those guys had personalities. They had swagger. They had charisma. So it's one of them things where you're like, yo, you're not really a fan of the team, maybe, but these guys, you're a fan of these guys. You have to be a fan of them. Like I said, it was just crazy. It was wild out there, guys. Wild, man. Wild, man. I'm telling you. Insane, man. I see you guys shouting out John Lynch. John Lynch lay out. I mean, you think about some of those defenses that we talked about, that Tampa Bay Buccaneers did. I talked about them earlier in the video I talked about. I mean, they were stacked at every level. Lynch and Rondé Barber in the back there with Nickerson and, like I said, Brooks at the linebacker. You're talking about Simeon Rice and Warren. I mean, my goodness, guys. My God. Every level, man. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they were insane. Insane. Shout out to, I see you guys out there. Sean Taylor. Oh, you guys are dropping all kinds of names right now. Ray Lewis. Dick Butkus. Yo, shout out to Chip Ferguson. What up? Yeah, I mean, you guys are going way back. Dick Butkus was way before my time. But Dick Butkus, like I said, it's a legendary linebacker. You know, you can argue he's the greatest linebacker. You know, I grew up towards the end of, the Mars of the Midway was like, for my time, was like, Mike Singletary, Richard Dent, right? Like some of those guys in the mid to late 80s on the Chicago Bears, those defenses. I remember some of those guys. I told you when I was growing up in New York, the Jets had the sack exchange with Mark Gastineau and what's the other guy's name, man? Klecko? Ryan, I could be Ryan Klecko, man. I could be wrong about that. And you're the Giants defense, obviously the Giants defense in the 80s with Lawrence Taylor, you know what I'm saying, and Pepper Johnson and Carl Banks, Leonard Marshall. I mean, guys, I said it was insane what these guys would do out there on the football field, man. Just crazy guys. Because remember, it's not just about the players being great. I'm not saying that there aren't great players, so there are hitters out there today, but the game was played differently. So you got to see that violence. The violence was allowed. So those guys played in a violent sport. Where I told you, the quarterbacks, like these players, the receivers, Jerry Rice, Tim Brown, like Andre Rison, Andre Reed, like some of the guys, Michael Irvin, Al Toon. Like I remember some of these guys, like, you get hurt out there coming across that middle. You get rocked out there. You get hurt bad, man. Like I told you, the quarterbacks, a blindside hit, bang. There's no flag, you got to be easy. They're crushing guys out there. I told you. That's why I did that video with Lawrence Taylor talking about Joe Montana and how he takes Joe Montana over Tom Brady. And Joe Montana will always be the GOAT to him because he said, we played in a savage era. in the savage era, he called it. Lawrence Taylor, the savage era. He said Joe Montana stood back there knowing that guys like me and Reggie were coming for his head. For his head. I want to talk about one thing real quick, guys. I know I'm rambling here. I'm rambling. But Jason Williams said something about Kobe Bryant that I got to touch on real quick here because I don't understand this stuff anymore. I'm confused with Jason Williams and what he's doing when he's saying the things that he says. What are you doing for the NBA? You're not doing anything for the NBA, man. That's right. Base engineer. Absolutely. Alan Page and Lawrence Taylor, the only defensive MVPs. That's right. And Lawrence Taylor was the last one. He was the last one to win MVP as a defense. Think about how great you got to be. Alan Page, Lawrence Taylor, to win an MVP on a defensive side, unheard of, especially now. It's never going to happen again, probably, for a defensive guy to win MVP. The last running back was Adrian Peterson, like, I think 10 years ago. maybe even longer than that, I think, over 10 years ago. So the running backs that have won MVP is very far and few between, guys. Not many guys. The Emmitt Smith, the Barry Sanders, the Adrian Peterson, the Daniel Tomlinson, I believe was the running back before Adrian Peterson to win an MVP. I think Sean Alexander for the Seahawks some years back. Terrell Davis. Back in the day, why? Because running backs were more valuable. Running backs were important. Running backs were a big part of your success back in the 80s, the 90s, even some part of the early 2000s. Now, running backs are expendable. They don't care about running backs like that. They give them no respect like that, the running backs. Where back in the day, the running back, like if you had a good running back, a workhorse like that, dude, he can carry your franchise. Carry your franchise. Take such a burden off your quarterback. If you have a running back like that, an every down back, like those guys I mentioned were every down backs. You didn't have to bring those guys out or sub those guys out to bring a third down back, right? Some of the really good running backs, right, that are not on that next level, they're not all down backs. They're not every down back. Maybe they can't catch you out of the backfield. So on third down, you have to bring them out. Maybe they're not good in pass protection, right? And pick up the blitz. So you have to sub them out in some of these scenarios. So I remember when I was in college, I was telling you guys a story about I was in junior college, right? What ended up happening for me is, because I told you I was second string, but what ended up happening was because of what I was showing in practices, as the season went on, I started to get more carries. But as the season went on, the coach decided to implement a two tailback system instead of a fullback and a tailback. They wanted to go to a two tailback type of system to incorporate things that we can do, that I could do, and the other guy could do. But what was also happening is that I was being subbed in on third downs. On third downs, I was subbing in for the starter on third downs. Because why? Because of my hands, I was able to catch very good, but mostly because of my blitz pickup. I was very good at reading the defenses. Once again, they're calling audibles out to the quarterback. I have to be aware and pick up the blitz and pick up these coverages for the pass coverage. So I was good at these things. So I became a third down guy. And third down, I came in every third down because my pass protection. So when we talk about some of the great running backs, it's not about you being able to shoot or shake guys or break guys down, because all the great running backs have shiftiness to them to different degrees. We all know that, different speeds. These all guys are great at a lot of this stuff, breaking tackles, stiff arms, spin moves. These guys have a lot of this stuff. But not every one of them can catch the ball great. Not every one of them can pick up blitz protections or be great on pass protections, right? And not all of them have the durability, the toughness of some of the all-time legends, right? The Walter Paytons, the Jim Browns, the Emmitt Smiths. These guys never get hurt. Those guys, every year, they keep coming back. I mean, Emmitt Smith seemed like, it was like every year. You talking about longevity? Emmitt Smith got way more longevity than LeBron James does. I mean, this man was out there getting beat and taking 25, 30 carries a night, right? Like, for all those seasons, man. That was impressive as hell to me. Was I a north-south runner? My running style would be summed up, I would say like a Walter Payton. I would say that I was like a Walter Payton, because when I told you, Emerson, my favorite running back. I told you, Walter Payton was a little before my time. Like when I was growing up watching this stuff, like Walter Payton was at the end of his career. But I told you guys, but I would describe myself as more of a Walter Payton type of runner, because when I remember about Walter Payton, him talking about running the football, I remember Walter Payton talking about not going out of bounds. All right, like if it came down to a scenario where the out of bounds line is here, and you can either run out of bounds or you could put your head forward and get a couple more yards and take that contact. Walter Payton said, "I'm gonna take the contact. I'm not going out of bounds." That was me. I was more of a north-south guy in those kinds of scenarios. I told you I like contact. I like putting my helmet down. I like putting my shoulder down to people, but only if it was necessary. I told you I ran a 4.440 or 4.42. I was timed at when I was in high school. A 4.42 I ran at my best time. So I obviously had some speed. Once I'm not the fast guy in the world, but I had some straightaway speed. But I also had very good quickness and side-to-side moves. And you know, like all of us have, like if you're a running back, we all have a move, right? Your patented move. Same thing with the basketball court, right? We all have certain moves that we develop for whatever the reasons are, that are moves that we kind of mastered, that are kind of like what makes us who we are on the basketball court, on the football field, you know, whatever the sport is, maybe soccer or hockey, whatever it is. You develop these moves, maybe through instincts or just through like whatever, just playing. And I had several moves out there on the field that I felt like were very effective at making people miss me in open field scenarios. But I've told you guys, my team was never good. We were never good in football in high school. We were never good in basketball. My school wasn't full of great athletes. But I told you, I didn't go to like a giant school with all these amazing athletes in it. And, you know, we were dominating all these sports. No, we weren't good. We were one of the worst teams in my county, right? So we were oftentimes the team that people would come and play, and they would get their stats up on us. They would beat the hell out of us, right? And they'd go home and feel good about themselves, right? And we'd have to, you know, just, you know, live in the, hey, we gave a good fight out there, guys. Like that's the world that I lived in high school, right? So once again, that was my style though. Like I said, I was more of a violent runner. Like I said, I like the contact like a Walter Payton did. So once again, Jason Williams said that yeah, shout out to all you guys, man. Once again, man, it means a lot, man. Yeah, you know what's funny, Agent Warrior, you guys are asking me some pretty good questions here, man. Some funny stuff here. He asked me here, did I ever stiff arm players? Absolutely. Stiff arm was one of my things. I wasn't a spin move guy. Spin move to me was never a move that I utilized, a spin move. I would probably say more of a side to side shake. I used to have a move where I would dip in, like I would be running out where I would fake in and then fake out, come out, right, and get one of those, bounce to the outside. But I did have a stiff arm that I would usually try to get right on the top of the helmet. I would try to get it right on your helmet right there, right? Because I remember one time I stiff armed the guy in the face mask, and my finger got caught in the face mask. And when we went down, when I got tackled, my finger was stuck in the face mask and it broke in the face mask. It got all, you know, twisted in the face mask. And, you know, it like, so from like, I remember that after that moment, anytime that I went to throw a stiff arm out, I always like tried to be conscious about not putting my fingers in the face masks and trying to get hit helmets that might be on the side of your helmet or the top of your helmet. Or like I said, try to stiff arm your arm, right? So if I'm running and someone's trying to grab me, I would try to, you know, stiff arm their arms, right? You try to push their arm away from you when you're running by. So I would utilize that oftentimes. Yeah, I told you guys I was never really a track guy. I told you I wish I would have ran track in high school. I should have ran track in high school because I told you when I was clocked at the 4.42, what ended up happening was my junior year, I told you on my high school team, I came from JV. So like I actually made varsity as a sophomore, but what happened was I ended up pulling my hamstring during triple sessions. Not bad, but I tweaked my hamstring to the point where I was out for like a week, right? So I remember the coach came to me and was like, yo, they wanted me on varsity as a sophomore to be a specialist, to be a punt returner and a kick returner because I was fast. So they wanted me to be a punt returner and kick returner. They didn't need me to be a running back. They had a guy they didn't need. So I was like, yo, I don't want to be on varsity as just a kick returner and a punt returner. So I chose to be on JV my sophomore year so I could be the starting running back on JV and get that experience, right? And get that, you know, that development there. So anyway, when I got to the varsity season, my junior year on varsity, during the triple sessions, they had a race, right? They had a foot race. They wanted to see the speed of everybody. So they lined everybody up, all the skill position players, the wide receivers, the running backs. They lined us all up on the line. And we did a 40-yard dash, right? And the top people from each heat would go to the next heat. So we would do a 40-yard dash, and they had everybody there. They had the coach with the timer, and all the people watching, right? Boom. The top guys would go to the next heat. Boom, to the next heat. Boom, to the next heat. So it came down to me and one other guy. It was two of us. Steve McMahon. Yo, shout out to Steve McMahon. It's me and this guy. He's a senior. I'm a junior. A white guy. A white boy. He's a white Steve McMahon. The white dude was fast as hell. So anyway, white guys can't run. White guys can't jump. They can't play basketball. They can't be athletes. Laughable stuff from the LeBron James fans. So anyway, it came down to me and Steve McMahon over here on the foot race. So we go, right? Boom. So now we've run probably 5 or 6 sprints already at this time now. So we go, bang, we take off, right? And I beat him. I beat the guy by at least a step. At least a step, guys. I beat him by at least a step. I wasn't blowing this kid. I didn't give him as fast as hell. So I got him by a step, I thought. In the peripherals, I didn't see him when I came across that line. But they said that it was a tie. That's what everyone said. There's a tie. It's a tie. So the coach said, run it again. Run it again. So we ran it again, lined it up, go. This time I beat him by a little bit more. I beat him by at least a step and a half, 2 steps, right? And that's when they clocked me at a 4-4-2, a 40-yard dash was in that moment during those sprints. And so after all of those runs, right, I was the fastest kid on the team, right? The fastest kid on the team. That's what we were determining here, who's the fastest player on the team. And then I find out later on that the guy that I beat, the kid that I beat, he was the fastest kid on the track team. So, like I told you guys, I should have did track because by all accounts, I would have been the fastest kid in school. Or by all accounts, I was the fastest kid in school. Oh, man, I forgot. I probably missed some of you guys' supers. Damn it, guys. My fault, man. Damn it. Goodness gracious, man. Kenny Anderson or Nick Van Exel. Phil Minor. Goodness gracious. My fault, Phil Minor. Shout out to Phil Minor for coming through with the super. Oh, man. I'd probably go with Nick Van Exel. I feel like Nick Van Exel had, like, when we talk about the explosiveness of to score, right, in like bunches, Nick Van Exel, the lefty stroke, right? Kenny Anderson, same thing. But I don't think Kenny Anderson had the explosiveness of the Nick Van Exel. Nick the Quick, I feel like he was just, like I said, I think he brought a little bit more explosiveness to the game. But they're both, they're both really good players during that time. Kenny Anderson, and the New York City product. Once again, guys like Rod Strickland, the Mark Jacksons, right? These guys, you guys remember Bob Cousy, New York City guy. So once again, shout out to all the great New York City point guards that continue to go out there and do their thing during that time, man. Great question there. Shout out to Rise Above Anything. My guy, Robin, let's roll. Yeah, much respect, man. I'm sorry if I didn't even see you guys supers, man. I'm rambling here. I was supposed to talk about something else, and I be getting jacked up, man. So I'm sorry, guys. Story Games, what up, man? The focus is on great QBs and wide receivers these days. Yeah, it's all about the throwing, the passing, right? The running backs they've been phased out to a degree, not 100%, right? So like a Saquon Barkley, Christian McCaffrey's, right? Derrick Henry's, some of these really great running backs that you've seen, but you have to be like it's like only a certain team, right? Like a lot of these teams, they don't, it'd be like running back by committee, or like I said, they don't do as many running plays anymore. Right, it's more of these different kinds of motion offenses, and like I said, it's spread out stuff, and like I said, these guys out in open space. There wasn't space like that back in the day. That's what I'm saying. Like the box, they were smaller back then. You didn't have all this freedom to move around like they have now in the NFL. Like the cornerbacks back in the day, they could destroy you coming off the line. They would destroy you coming off the line. They would bump and run you. They'd be very physical on you. Like. That's the way the game was played. Like I said, there were certain areas that you couldn't even operate in the middle of the field. Only certain guys could operate in the middle of the field as wide receivers because it was dangerous, man. That's why Michael Irvin got so upset when them dudes was trying to trash Deion Sanders by trashing all the receivers that he went against, saying that he didn't go against any receivers, and they were trying to trash the era. And Michael Irvin said, "Yo, I lived in the world of hurt, in the world of pain. That's why I lived in that world of pain. He goes, y'all don't know nothing about going over the middle. Michael Irvin says, I lived in that area, in that world. These guys today don't know nothing about that kind of stuff, man. Like I said, you got to earn it out there. Like I said, you could be seriously hurt. Not saying that you can't get hurt in the NFL now. You absolutely could get hurt seriously in the NFL. We see guys get hurt in the NFL. I'm telling you guys right now, it was different then. It was different. As I told you, they were allowed to hurt you. Now, if you get hurt now, it's because maybe somebody, did a violation, right? They had a helmet to helmet or someone, blindside hit. You ain't never get hit. Guys, I've been blindside hit many times playing football growing up, guys, and I never played nowhere near the NFL, nowhere near that level. And I've never claimed to be on that level, never once. I'm telling you guys right now, I'm blindside hit. I remember I was coming across the field, right? I was a linebacker, and I'm coming across the field, and I'm watching the guy come run on a sweep, and I'm following across the defense. Yo, I'm watching the running back. I'm not looking over here. Wham! Guys, my cleats were above my head. My feet were up there. That's where my feet were. Guys, when I looked up, when I landed on the ground, I looked up in the sky, guys. Yo, I didn't know where I was. I got up and I got back in the huddle. Guys, I didn't know where I was. I shouldn't have been in the huddle. I shouldn't have been playing still. But that's what we did back in them days. But I got cleaned up, man. Cleaned up. And you know what's funny is I remember when that kid hit me, right? He hit me, decleated me. We call it getting decleated. Decleated me. I told you my feet are up in the air now. Right? And I remember looking up. And I remember that kid looking at me. And I remember looking at him. And he smiled at me. And then kept on going. I got paid back on that kid. I got paid back on his ass, man. Because he was the running back. Right? So I got paid back on him later on in the game. But this is what I'm talking about, guys. We was getting rocked out there. I mean, I got blindsided, man. You talking about, hitting a defensive player? Yeah, a lot of us got hit like that. Now, you can't do it now. Oh, man. I've rambled on so much here. My goodness, guys. Forgive me, man. Shout out to my man Phil Miner for coming through again. Like I said, it means a lot for you guys to come through, man. Rise above anything. My father passed 2 years ago today. Damn, man. Love your lives. Yo, shout out to Rise Above Anything. That means a lot, man. Rest in peace to your father, man. Like I said, you guys share a lot of personal stuff with me. And that means a lot. And I tell you guys, that's why I share my personal stuff with you guys. Because it matters to me. All the support you guys give me out here. All this stuff matters, guys. Like I said, I'm truly humbled by all this stuff, man. So once again, shout out to Rise Above Anything. Like I said, rest in peace to your father, man. I tell you, I'm very fortunate to still have my father and my mother here, guys. Very fortunate, man. Like I said, it means a lot to me to have them here. And like I said, and what they've meant to me and my brothers, what they've meant to me and my family. Like I said, it means a lot, man. Sometimes we laugh and we joke, and you've heard people say things about in-laws, right? Like, oh, I can't stand my in-laws, or the mother-in-law and the daughter-in-law, right? They never get along. Like my wife and my mother, they get along beautifully. Like it's actually like amazing. I told you, my mother never had any daughters, right? So I told you, I have 3 younger brothers, but 2 of my younger brothers are very close in age to me, right? I'm 3 years apart from my other brother and 6 years apart from the brother after that. But I'm 12 years apart from my brother after that. And I told you, part of the reason is that my mother and father were trying for a daughter all those years later. My mother wanted a daughter. And these things aren't guaranteed. And they got 4 boys. That's what my mom got. So my mother never had that daughter that she always kind of wanted. So when me and my wife got together, and I told you, we've been together for 20 years. It'll be 21 years this year. My mother and my wife have obviously developed a bond there. My daughter, my mother, so now the way my mother and my wife are, it's like my mother treats my wife like her daughter, like really her daughter. And it was like I said, the daughter she never had. So like I said, I'm very fortunate for a lot of these things in my personal life. And I've told you guys, my life hasn't been easy, but I've told you guys what? There are a lot of people out there going through things that are much worse than what we're dealing with. And I usually use that to humble myself and to make myself feel better sometimes, or not be so hard on myself and be like, woe is me. I can't play the victim. We can't play the victim all the time and blame, other people or blame situations, right, for things that are happening in our life. Because oftentimes, it's us that are doing this. I've told you guys, I ended up in the Navy because I was jacking my life up, because I wasn't doing the right things. And I took it as a sign that I needed to do something. And I did that. And I told you guys, to this day, that's one of the best decisions I ever made in my life, was to go to the U.S. Navy, guys. That's why when I was asked earlier about if I would allow my daughter or my son to join the military, I absolutely would, because of the experience that I had. I can't speak for anyone else's experience, but I can only speak for the experience I had in the U.S. Navy for 4 years. And to me, it was a great experience. Like I told you, even though it was a wartime that I was in there, because I told you I was in there during 9/11, and, things got crazy, I still had a great experience. And I told you, the things I learned, the people I met, like I said, the experiences and perspectives that I've gained from being in certain scenarios, like I said, it's invaluable, man. Like I told you, I saw places in the military. I went to places I'll never be to ever again, guys. I'll never see those places ever again. I was in Egypt. I'll never go to Egypt again. Guys, I was in Italy, man. You think I could afford a trip to Italy? Maybe one day when I can retire, maybe if I'm eligible to retire, maybe someday down the road when our kids are grown, me and my wife will go on a trip. Me and my wife have still never been on a honeymoon, because we can't really afford a honeymoon and we don't really have anyone to watch the kids like that. So it's like, we've never been on a honeymoon. So we joke sometimes about, one day we'll go on a honeymoon when the kids are old enough. And say, if I make it that long, God willing, we'll do something like that. But I went to France. I ain't never gonna go to France again. I was in Toulon, France, eating smashed sandwiches in France, man. Amazing place out there, amazing time out there, man. I was in Croatia. I've told you guys I was in Croatia. Amazing. I was in Split, Croatia. Beautiful, man. Beautiful, right? Amazing time out there. I was in Rota, Spain. Beautiful, man. Great time out there. I've been to places I'll never go to again. I went to an island called Malta off the coast of Sicily. I've been to Sicily. When we pulled into Sicily, guys, I went to Sigonella. When we pulled into Sigonella, the volcano out there, right? What's the name of the volcano out there in Sicily, man? Is it Mount St. Edna? I could be wrong. I don't know. I'm not great with geography and stuff like that, guys, so don't make fun of me here. But there's a volcano in Sicily. So when we were pulling in to the island of Sicily, this volcano was spewing volcanic ash. But we didn't know that. So when we're pulling into the port, we're outside, right? You're manning the lines because you're the more the ship into the port. So we're out there on our stations, and it was like ash falling out of the sky. It was snowing ash. And like, I'd never seen that before. So I was like, yo, this is crazy. And we were getting covered in volcanic ash, guys. When we pulled into Sigonella, guys, and we went out into town, guys, people were acting like it was normal. The cars were covered in volcanic ash. The streets, volcanic ash. And people were going on about their business, about their regular days, like it was normal. Because it was for them. I ain't never seen nothing like that. I ain't never seen no volcano. I ain't never seen no damn ash like that. I was like, what the hell is this? I was like, my goodness, man. This everywhere, volcanic ash. It was one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen in my life, and one of the most scary things I've ever seen in my life, man. Because volcanoes are beautiful and they're scary altogether. But the experiences that I've gained, some of the things I saw, I remember we went to the Virgin Islands. We went to St. Thomas. Beautiful place, man. We go to St. Thomas. I went to a snorkel. I'd never been snorkeling before, right? We go snorkeling. Guys, the water was blue. Blue water, man. You can see all the way down to the bottom. I ain't never seen nothing like that before. That blew my mind. It was like the movies. You saw in the movies. You saw in the postcards. I ain't never been to no place like that. Out here living in New York, these New York beaches and New Jersey beaches. It ain't like the Bahamas. It ain't like it's the Virgin Islands. It ain't like these places, man. I told you can see all the way down 50 feet, crystal clear blue water. All the fish in the water. Wow. Damn, man, I've rambled on for so long, man. My goodness, guys. I don't know, guys. I don't know, man. I don't know what to do, man. I don't know what to do, guys. I really don't, man. I appreciate you, bro. It's been a rough day. Yo, man, much respect to you, man. Like I said, it means a lot that you're here. And I said I gotta maybe take your mind off of some things for a little bit. Stay strong, man. Like I said, I wouldn't even know, man. I don't know how that is. I don't know how that feeling is, man. Like I said, I'm fortunate right now. I couldn't even think about losing my father, man, or my mother, or any of that kind of stuff. So any of you guys out there that have lost your family members like that, I told you, I ain't never even seen my dad cry, man. And I told you, when I was at my grandmother's funeral, my grandma lived to 100 years old. My father's mother, she lived to 100 years old. And I told you, when she died, we went to the funeral, right? Obviously. And we were there. And I told you guys, my dad is the second youngest of a family of 7 kids, right? 4 boys and 3 girls. And him and my uncle, they're the babies of the family. Him and my uncle, right? So they're like the closest, but they're the youngest of the family. And I told you guys, all of them, they were all a hot mess, guys. It was a listen, man. When black people died? No, I told my grandma, there's the black side of the family, man. Man, them funerals be for black people. If you don't know, if you had a black friend, ask some of your black friends about some of them black funerals, man. It was bad, man. I'm talking about people screaming. I'm talking about people, oh Lord Jesus, oh my God. Like, guys, I didn't know what to do, man. I don't do good these kinds of things and these kinds of scenarios, man. Being around all that kind of stuff, man. It was bad. And I remember standing there next to the casket. It was an open casket. And I remember standing there, and I was very close with my father's mother, very close with my grandmother. I told you, there were a lot of times where my grandmother was watching me and my brothers in Harlem in the Grand Projects. I told you, my grandmother and my dad grew up in a scary area, a scary neighborhood, man, in Harlem. I mean, it was scary out there, man, in that building, man. Scary. But anyway, so I was very close with my grandmother. I remember standing there, and I never saw my dad shed a tear, man. His mom is in a casket. And I told you, he's a baby, one of the babies of the family. I ain't seen that man shed a tear. And I told you guys, I'm not saying that my father never cried. I'm not saying that he didn't cry on his own somewhere in private. Maybe he got in the car and drove home and was putting on a song and started crying, thinking about his mom. I'm not saying my dad never did that. But I've never seen my father cry. Never once. I've never even seen my dad come close to crying, not even getting misty-eyed. I mean, you could be watching TV with my dad and one of those, polar bear commercials come on, or them commercials for the pets that get treated harshly, and my dad is just watching and they don't face him. Someone like me, man, I watched one of them St. Jude's commercials. I told you guys, I had to turn those commercials off. I cannot watch those St. Jude's commercials. Those are some of the saddest things. I mean, God, when you talk about putting your life in perspective, think about the St. Jude's parents and those children that are fighting these crazy cancers when they're like 1, 4, 5, 6, 7 years old and they're battling freaking brain cancer. And you got people making fun of my hair. You think I'm worried about being bald? What about the 5-year-old that's bald because he's got chemotherapy going on? These people don't have priorities or perspective. They don't understand life and how difficult it could really be for a lot of people, man. So once again, when I was at my grandma's funeral, man, I told you, when they went to put her casket in the ground, guys, this is true stuff, man. It's true stories, man. When they went to put my grandmother in the ground, right? Yo, my aunt almost jumped in the hole with her, man. They had to physically grab and restrain my aunt from going in the hole, from going in there, because she wouldn't let go of the casket. Guys, I had never seen it like that on TV. Yo, I'm close to all of my aunts and uncles, guys. All of my family like that. We grew up like tight, man. I never seen it like that. My aunt had never seen it like that. That was crazy. They had to grab her and tackle her to the ground because she was jumping in the damn hole. She wouldn't let go of mom. Damn, man. That's why, man. That's why it's important. I tell you guys all the time, it's important that we care about ourselves. It's important that we care about the people around us and we hold on to them. Hold on to them, man, right? And tell them that you care about them and show them that you care about them. It should matter, right? I told you, you don't know what's going to happen, man. Yo, much respect to all you guys out there, man. I might have to do another live stream. I guess maybe Sunday I'll do a live stream maybe so I can finish talking about some of the things I wanted to talk about on the live because I know that I rambled on with a lot of personal stuff here. So once again, yo, Davion, what up? What's my email? My email is on my description on my channel. So if you go to the description of my channel, you guys just click on that. My email's in there. So you guys can email me. I know a lot of you guys do email me. So I appreciate all that stuff, guys. So once again, shout out to Davion coming through with the super. But yeah, you guys can check that out. Once again, man. Yo, thank you very much, guys. Like I said, I wanted to talk about those comments from Jason Williams, but it's really late. It's almost 10:30 over here on the East Coast for me. Once again, I hope you guys have a great weekend. Like I said, I'm gonna try to do a live on Sunday. I think no, I can't do one Sunday. Maybe I do one Sunday morning. Maybe I know it's Super Bowl. I'm going to my parents' house for Super Bowl, but maybe I could do one Sunday morning. Maybe I'll do like a Super Bowl Sunday morning live show, and we'll talk about some more stuff. Maybe I could tell you guys some more stories, or I could finish some of the stories that I started that I didn't really get to finish, and tell you guys all, completely. So once again, like I said, it means a lot for you guys. Like I said, to continue to come through, support the channel. I see a lot of the same names, and that really means a lot to me. That you guys come back, and like I said, the questions you guys ask, the fact that people even care. Like I said, what I have to say, and a lot of times you guys understand what I'm talking about, right? You guys get it, right? It's about setting the record straight, stopping the lies and the narratives, man. That's the facts, man. Yo, Chip Ferguson, man, I appreciate that. It means a lot. Yeah, man, it's crazy, man. You guys know the deal, man. Like I said, it's truly humbling, man. I hope I didn't miss anyone's supers. I think I got everybody's supers, man. Damn, I hope I didn't. Damn. I don't even miss you. Kanga Hydra, what up, man? Shout out to you. I hope you make it back to Italy someday. I mean, listen, it would be great if I could. Damn, I can't believe I missed you guys supers here, man. Damn it. Forgive me, guys. Yeah, it would be great. Like I said, I hold on to the memories. And I hold on, and you guys know I have a pretty good memory with a lot of stuff. I hold on to those memories. Some of the memories I have are from being in the military. Like I told you, even though it was wartime, my first deployment, it was before 9/11, my first deployment. So the mentality and, some of the things and some of the places we went to were a little bit different, right? Because there were certain places that we couldn't go to after 9/11 happened, and there were certain, conditions and restrictions that we had when we were in some of these areas, right? We couldn't really go to some places because they were worried for our safety and some of this other stuff. I remember when we were out in some of these countries in port, we couldn't salute out on the ship, out and about. You couldn't salute out because they were worried about snipers. I couldn't even believe they were saying that stuff. They were like, yo, no saluting out on the ship deck, no saluting. And people were like, oh, and they're like, oh, because, they're worried about people getting sniped. They're going to try to snipe an officer. So if you're saluting, they're going to know who the high-ranking guys are. And, they were worried about people being sniped out there on the ship deck, man. That's true stories, guys. True stories, man. But, yeah, the memories I have of Italy, like I said, I went to Trieste, and I was in Naples. I told you, that's where my grandmother's from. My grandma's from Naples, Italy. So I went back to the same area. I don't know, the neighborhood where my grandma grew up. But I was in Naples, in the same area where my grandmother was born and where she grew up before she came to America. I told you, my grandmother didn't speak a lick of English, man. No English when she came over here on the boat. But yeah, it was a great time in Italy because some of the stories I probably can't tell on here. I'm not gonna lie, like some of the stories that I have from some of the things that we did in some of these countries because it's legal out there and it's viewed differently. Like I said, I probably can't even talk about some of the stuff on YouTube like that. Like I said, it was almost like when we went over to some of these countries, like it was the perfect time to be there. Now, granted, like I told you, 9/11 happened and kind of jacked everything up, obviously. But when we were there was no euro dollar. There was no euro dollar. So our money went long over there. We were rich over there, guys. I told you, when I got to Italy, it was lira. It was called lira. That was the money's name. It was called lira, right? And it was the conversion from American money to lira was like something crazy. It was like, like let's say $100 was like 10,000 lira. Like that's how their conversion was. Like their money was really crazy. So I remember when we went to the conversion place and we got the money transferred or converted over to lira, the guy gave me like 100,000 lira. And I was like, I couldn't believe it. But like a pack of gum was like 5,000 lira. So it sounded like I was rich. It sounded like we had a lot of money, and the conversion was great. The conversion was great at the time. We were, American dollar was very strong versus the lira at the time. So our money was obviously very strong over there. But it wasn't like I thought when the guy first gave me the lira, and I was out there doing some of this stuff. I remember when we were in Greece. I went to Greece. And if I had to pick a place that I was just amazed with, because I never thought about it. Italy, I thought about, right? Because my grandma's from Italy, my mother's Italian. Like, I thought about Italy before, what it would be like. I never thought about Greece. Never thought about Greece. And guys, when I was in Suda Bay, the Crete Islands of Greece. Guys, wow. I mean, beautiful, man. Beautiful. I was blown away with Greece, with Suda Bay, Crete. Blown away, man. Blown away. Anybody that's from Greece out here, I mean, my goodness, man. And the food, oh my goodness, the food was insane out there in Greece, guys. Insane. I mean, I like Greek food, but my God, man, it was really good. And the women, I think my wife is asleep. My wife is sleeping right now, okay? My wife is sleeping in the bed. But yo, the women out there, man, when I was out, remember, this is before I knew my wife, guys. This is nothing wrong. I wasn't doing anything dirty. That's before I knew my wife, man. I was a kid out there, all right? The women in Greece, man, my goodness, man. My goodness, like that. Like, now listen, obviously the Italian women was on point. They was on point. But I told you, I thought about that, right? I can envision that. The Greek women, I had no idea. Man. I was like, damn, man. Yo, I promise y'all, I'll tell you guys a couple of stories on Sunday. You guys got to remind me. I'll tell you guys a story about Greece on Sunday that it's spicy. It's a spicy story, guys. And I think I can talk about it on here. I don't think it's anything that, would get me in trouble for talking about. It's a spicy story, though. Once again, shout out to everybody in Greece out there in Suda Bay. Man, beautiful out there. Had a great time. But I'm going to tell you guys a funny story on Sunday about Greece and about some of the stuff that I encountered out there in some of these countries, guys. It was crazy to me, man, because I remember, like, I don't want to tell a story now, man, but they were playing rap music out there. Guys, this is like 2000, you know what I'm saying? And I'm out there in Greece, and they're playing rap music, hardcore, like Wu-Tang Clan in Greece. Like, I couldn't believe it. I mean, shout out to my man, the real Siberius. DeAndre Durham, what up? Brandon Heyman. Shout out to all you guys that still hear me, even though I've been rambling on and talking a bunch of nonsense for the last couple of hours here. So shout out to my man, the real Siberius. Shout out to Sports and Fitness Rants. Always love the content. It means a lot, guys. Like I said, I know sometimes I don't even talk about sports. And you guys are probably sitting there like, yo, what is this guy talking about, man? Like, how did we even get here? I don't know how we got here, but we ended up there. Man. But yeah, they were bumping some rap music out there, man. They really were. I was impressed. But once again, shout out to all you guys out there. Like I said, man, it means a lot that you guys continue to come through. And, like I said, I'm going to tell you a funny story about when I was in Greece on the Sunday live. My intentions are to do a Sunday live, probably a Sunday morning, maybe 9 or 10 a.m. Eastern time. I'm thinking on Sunday. That's my plan. And we'll have a good laugh. And like I said, man, some more funny stories from Sports and Fitness Rants, story time with Sports and Fitness Rants. Maybe I should do a segment, a story time with Sports and Fitness Rants. Oh, man. Anyway, I hope you guys have a good Friday night. You guys be safe out there, whatever you're going to do. Once again, man, I appreciate all your support, guys. It really means a lot, guys. Like I said, I'm really humbled. Yo, my man, Terezi, what up, man? Shout out to you. Stay watching all your videos. Big salute, man. Thank you for all your content. Thank you to you guys, man. Like I said, you guys inspire me to keep coming back and make these videos because it matters to you guys. It matters to me. So like I said, thank you very much to everyone that's continued to come through, support the live streams, all this stuff, guys. Like I said, man, you guys donate to my channel. It means a lot, man, because I know that money's not easy to come by for a lot of us. It's really not, man. I know that life is hard and we got bills and people to take care of. And we know how the society works. The economy is all jacked up. And I told you the cost of living keeps going up and you're not making any more money at your job. And I said so, man. Anyone that you guys donate, I thought I would give us a penny. I'll give them a penny, man. That means a lot. Thank you very much, guys. So like I said, man, I'm going to get up out of here. I'm going to save my voice for Sunday. So you guys, like I said, enjoy the rest of your night, man. And remember, LeBron James and his fans ain't worth a damn. They're not worth a damn, guys. They're not. And we're going to continue the conversation about the comments that Jason Williams said about Kobe Bryant and how he said that Kobe Bryant can be a top 10 or 15 player. Jason Williams, goddamn it. Goddamn, man. You know, goddamn. You guys know the deal, man. You guys know the deal. I'll catch you guys on the next one, man.